All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this afternoon's full Flag to Flag live commentary coverage of the Kansas Lottery 300 at the Kansas Speedway for today's NASCAR Xfinity Series race, the playoff opener for the round of 12 for the NASCAR Xfinity Series, first of 7 playoff races they have on their schedule. Why don't you introduce you to the 12 drivers who will be vouching themselves for this championship fight over the next 7 weeks. And we'll begin things off with the number 1 seed, Justin Allgaier, who comes in 27 points above the cutoff line. Very tight between first, really, through 10th on the grid when we begin this race today. Cole Custer, who is sitting in the 21st or 21 points above the cutoff line position right now. It does come in as the regular season champion, but the number 2 seed. Austin Hill, plus 18 points to begin the postseason. Chandler Smith, plus 17, plus 10 for Shane Van Gisbergen, who's a 3-time winner this season. Jesse Love, with his lone win at Talladega earlier in the spring, is plus 6 points, plus 4 for Sam Mayer, plus 3 for Riley Herbst. Sheldon Creed, first driver below the cutoff line, but one of the hottest drivers in the Xfinity Series over the last several weeks. He is minus 3. AJ Allmendinger, minus 4 points. Minus 9 for Sammy Smith, who actually got the final spot above the cutoff line of points after last week's regular season finale at Bristol. But he does have more stage wins than Parker Kligerman, which is why he's 11th, and Parker Kligerman sits 12th on the playoff grid. Minus 12 points as well for Kligerman. Again, minus 9 for Sammy Smith. So that is the point standings coming into this race here today. Appreciate everybody tuning in for this one. Hopefully you'll enjoy the next couple hours of live commentary content on the channel right here on KRC. We wrapped up practice and qualifying for the NASCAR Cup Series a little over an hour ago. Congratulations to Christopher Bell for getting his first pole, or third consecutive pole, at the Kansas Speedway. We'll see if he can continue that streak on into the spring Kansas race of next season. And we'll also see if he can continue his quest for a championship by potentially winning tomorrow's race and working themselves into the next race. And they won't have to worry about the next 2 races, which is definitely a wild card round, as we have the Talladega Superspeedway next weekend and the Charlotte Roval the weekend after for the NASCAR Cup and NASCAR Xfinity Series playoff race. More on that a little bit later on in the stream, but first we'll go through our starting lineup for today's Kansas Lottery 300. We'll start things off with Brandon Jones, who is on the pole, still searching for his first win of the season. He'll be leaving Junior Motorsports at season end, unfortunately, in his 2 years here. Failed to make the playoffs, but still looking for his first win with the organization. Chandler Smith, highest qualifying playoff driver. He'll be starting second here today in row 1 as well. Cole Custer and Connor Zilisch will line up in road number 2 for this one. Zilisch, a win in his debut at Watkins Glen 2 weeks ago. We'll see if he can do it his second career start in the Xfinity Series today. And as mentioned already, Cole Custer won the regular season championship last weekend at Bristol with a pretty solid performance. Really not just last week, but most of the season to get that under his belt. Sam Mayer and Eric Almirola will line up in row 3. Almirola in the 20 car, and that 20 team is in the owners playoff, so they have something to fight for today, and obviously Sam Mayer in the drivers playoffs. 2 more playoff drivers to make up row number 4, Jesse Love and Parker Kligerman. At row number 5, you'll see Justin Allgaier and Austin Hill, both with multiple wins this season. Taylor Gray making an Xfinity Series start in the 19 car for JGR here today. He'll be starting inside of row 6 with Ryan Sieg to his outside. Sammy Smith and AJ Allmendinger in row 7. Row number 8 for Sheldon Creed and Riley Herbst. Corey High making another start in the Xfinity Series on the 26 for Sam Hunt Racing. He'll start inside of row 9 with Josh Williams for Colleague Racing to his outside. In row number 10, it'll be Jeb Burton and Anthony Alfredo. Row 11 for Kyle Sieg and Shane Van Gisbergen. Parker Retzlaff, Matt DiBenedetto make up row number 17, Row number I had the row wrong there. Give me one quick second. Got Kyle Sieg, Shane Van Gisbergen in row 11. Row 12 for Parker Retzlaff and Matt DiBenedetto. Row 13 for J.J. Yaley and Jeremy Clements. Dawson Cram, Brendan Poole in row 14. Row 15 for Ryan Ellis and Daniel Dye. A row 16 start for Logan Bearden, Blaine Perkins. Row 17, Kyle Weatherman and Joey Gase. Row 18 for Patrick Emerly and Ryan Vargas. Brad Perez, Leland Honeyman round out the field of 38 cars in row 19. So that is where things will round out here today. That is your starting lineup for this full race. Scheduled distance today will be 200 laps, 300 miles around this 1.5-mile racetrack, again at Kansas Speedway. And again, if you're wondering for visual purposes where you can watch the race, today's race is on the CW, as it is for not only the rest of the NASCAR Xfinity Series schedule this season, but as well as all the way through 2025 through 2031. All Xfinity races will be taking place on CW. Back in the booth again today is Rick Allen, who is still taking coverage for the Xfinity Series side of things for the full flag-to-flag coverage for the rest of the season. And obviously Jeff Burt and Steve Letarte will be there with him, so you'll get to hear from those guys right now, prior to the start of the race, as well as at periodic times throughout the middle of the race.
Drivers that are the playoff drivers. 12 drivers all want a shot at the championship at season end.
Yeah, a big group of playoff drivers back in row 7, row 8 with Sammy Smith, Allmendinger, Creed. You have SVG, Shane Van Gisbergen back in row 11. You see a few drivers going to the back of the field for some mechanical issues.
And actors row 19, Hyman Jr. and Perez rounding out that starting lineup. All right, Kim, what's happening with Sam Mayer?
Well, Sam Mayer's making his third playoff appearance in the NASCAR Xfinity Series, but when I asked him, Rick, how he's feeling headed into the first race of the postseason, his answer surprised me. He said, relief. He told me, I feel relief the playoffs are finally here because the last 2 months have not gone their way. Sam's Bristol finish last weekend of 9th snapped a streak of 6 straight finishes of 13th or worse. The team, well, they're ready for a reset. Sam enters today +4 to the cut line. He said the goal today is to not put themselves in a worse spot, Marty, than they are now headed into Talladega next weekend.
Well, if the NASCAR playoff system is new to you, Shane Van Gisbergen would tell you, welcome to the club. He told me earlier this week I had to read up on how the playoff system actually works. I'm not 100%. I still know exactly how it works, but it's been a blast to watch the first round of the Cup Series playoffs. And he said, being honest, being in New Zealand and Australia for a lot of the Cup Series playoffs in my past years, I had no idea how much drama was in the playoffs and how it all played out. So he said, my goal, avoid all the drama myself and just enjoy these 7 weeks of chasing a title, Rick.
Yeah, Mark, SVG and Jesse Love making their first appearances in the playoffs. The Toyota GR Supra is the official pace car for today's Kansas Lottery 300. We are getting standings, and this is the reset. So after regular season is done, points are reset. This is how they're ranked. These are playoff points that they were carrying forward after the regular season. That's how they are ranked.
Yeah, I think this is a difficult race for drivers coming into. We talked about the upcoming races, Talladega, the role will be in wild cards. This one, in my eyes, is also the number of cautions we've had here, Steve, not only during the race, but early in the race. You attack right off the bat to get track position or keep it, but if you attack too much, you get yourself in a wreck. It's a mixture of two interesting things, low grip and high speed. Those normally don't go together, but Justin Allgaier told us multiple times during qualifying and practice just how little grip there was in this mile and a half. And then add in the very high speeds. It's an odd combination. I think that's what gets all the drivers on edge.
Jeff, what's your mentality as a driver? Your playoffs are underway. You want to make sure you score as many points as possible, but also is there a little more risk that you would normally take, or do you kind of hamper that just a bit?
But the team and we have been working on what we need to do better, right? Do what we're at finish right now. Worry about executing our plan.
All right, Brandon Jones will Alexi outside lane for this initial start as the pole sitter. And he'll lead the field to the green at Kansas. We're underway in the Kansas Lottery 300 on this Saturday afternoon. Good crowd on hand for this Xfinity Series race. Brandon Jones, not a great launch on the initial start, headed into turn 1, and he will actually not have the lead through the center of the corner. Chandler Smith, who was inside of row 1, will take the lead off turn 2. He was all clear pretty much on corner entry, stays clear through corner exit, and now tries to control the track position at the front of the field. Goes down to the bottom of the racetrack on the initial start. Connor Ziller sliding sideways. Middle of 3 and 4. It saves it as he loses a position off the exit of the corner to Eric Almirola, Justin Allgaier, and here comes Jesse Love to his outside. Big moment for Connor Zilic. I'm not sure if there was contact there, but he was sliding sideways center of the corner. Still looks to be very loose in turns 1 and 2 as Zilic struggles with his race car as he tries to get back going in the right direction. 3 wide middle into turn 3 as he almost pinches off Parker Kligerman. Probably didn't realize he was on the outside till the last second. Really the first time the rookie has been back in traffic for a large majority of his Xfinity Series career here, as Watkins Glen, he led the most laps from the pole and was out front for most of that race. There's a car just a little bit behind where Zilich was in the running order that almost tagged the wall off turn 4 as well. Definitely an eventful start for the driver of the 88. Continues to lose positions right now to Kligerman, Sieg. And it looks like a start violation for Jeremy Clements in the 51, as he had dropped down to the apron of the racetrack before the start-finish line. Have to wait till you pass the start-finish line to drop down to the apron on starts over restarts. So a restart lane violation for him. It's a pass-through penalty for the driver of the 51. He'll remain on the lead lap at least for now. We'll see if he can finish stage 1 out on the lead lap still. Definitely losing a lot of time. Half a second lead at the front of the field for Chandler Smith over Brandon Jones in second. Cole Custer 0.7 of a second back in third. Eric Almirola to fourth, 1.2 seconds off the lead. And 2.6 seconds back is Justin Allgaier in fifth. That is your top 5. Sammy Smith in the middle, 3 wide. A lot of these cars battling some very loose handling conditions. Smith looks like he actually has a little damage to the right rear corner panel of his race car. Not sure if he had been one of those drivers that may have grazed the wall off turn 4 a little bit ago. You see the fender flare on the right rear. Cuts down to the bottom of the racetrack, holding his position in front of Shane Van Gisbergen. SVG 3 wide middle off turn 4 with Jeb Burton cutting to the apron on his inside, and as well another car to his outside. And yeah, he did get a piece of the wall off turn 4. It looked like there might have been contact to the left rear corner panel with the 16 of AJ Allmendinger. He definitely got into him. And now Sammy Smith goes for a spin as that right rear tire may be flat off of turn 2. More damage, it looks like, to the right rear.
So there will be a restart, and it's after 6 completed laps. This caution coming out on lap 7.
Here you go. This is the second problem he had. Just got really loose, and around the car goes. No damage as far as additional to the car, but sliding on these tires, he's flat started them. He'll have to come in and put a new set on.
So tough start for the 8, Sammy Smith, one of the playoff drivers. He was the last one in on points, fought his way into the playoffs, and now race 1, 7 laps in, he brings out the first caution.
So spin off turn 2 for Sammy Smith, bringing out our first caution of the race here. Chandler Smith leading every lap from the second place starting position up to this point through the first 7. And again, as we work the caution right now, our top 5, Chandler Smith in the lead, Brandon Jones second, Cole Custer in third, Eric Almirola fourth, and Justin Allgaier is fifth. Just a few minutes into this race. Again, only lap 7. Appreciate everybody tuning in so far here this afternoon throughout not only this live commentary stream, but our NASCAR Cup Series practice and qualifying stream earlier today that happened as well. Shoutouts to Matthew Dordo Bruno, Delbert Wilson, Frank Powers, Podegan Stoner. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. We'll take our first ad break. You're listening live on KRC. You can vote for who you think is going to win today's race. The chat poll is open. Has been open since before the start of the stream as well, and we will leave the poll open until the end of stage 2. First 2 stages today, 45 laps in length, final stage 110. So at the end of lap 90 is when we'll close that chat poll. And an early tie between Justin Allgaier and Connor Zilich for the poll winner. 33% of those 24 votes that have been casted so far taking those 2. Other at 29%. Only 4% taking Chandler Smith, who leads in the early going of this race. We'll have to wait and see how this is going to come about. Shouldn't see any pit stops here.
CW Sports coverage of the NASCAR Xfinity Series brought to you by Toyota. Let's go places. And by here's downtown Kansas City, and we are just a little west of that in Kansas City, Kansas. Marty, the 8 has had his hands full. Did they figure out what was going on?
Well, I would say behind the wheel, Sammy Smith. I think the word livid's probably not strong enough with how mad he is at what happened with AJ Allmendinger earlier on. And then he said from there, it just was terrible. It was so loose. So spun out there. So they're going to come down pit road, still trying to fix that right rear damage for Sammy Smith, who came in with so much speed in this race. But yeah, you can see how damaged that right rear quarter panel is, Steve. I don't know if they can get that fixed up to where they can be competitive today. What do you think?
I think they can. I think the damage can be repaired as long as it's still attached to the car. There's some bracing underneath there. Once that breaks loose, you can never really attach it as good as new. The most important thing is to kind of seal up all the areas. You see the gap between the quarter panel and the bumper. That's important, as well as the deck lid to the rear glass, which is what the crew members doing with that silver roll of tape.
Well, guys are working on the back of that car, and we see the lights on the top of the pace car. The Whelen caution lights are illuminated on the pace car. Whelen is the official warning lights of NASCAR, trusted to protect first responders. So a frustrated driver at first is with AJ Allmendinger. And another car, like Jeff Burton in the 27, was right on his back bumper, probably taking the air off of that spoiler a little bit. He got around.
It's your 9 car. Brandon Jones picking the outside again. I'm with you. I think the outside is the way to go, but you got to get a great launch. Now let's go back and, we heard Sammy Smith very upset with AJ Allmendinger. Remember, this is lap 4 of the beginning of the playoffs. So right there, you see Sammy loose, and I don't know that there's any contact. Like, I don't really see right there that there's contact. There may have been, and if there was contact, I don't blame him for being mad. Lap 4 of the beginning of the playoffs, and that's what we're doing. But it just looks like to me Sammy was loose. But Steve, I think they could get this thing fixed. I don't, they got the spoiler fixed. If they could get that quarter panel taped up, they might be okay.
Yeah, you mentioned it though. Down a set of tires. This is what's frustrating right here. Is we've been on pit road once, and now we're on pit road with the cars going down the backstretch. So the 88 right here, Connor Zilic, another big save right here. We saw one early in the race. Now look at this one. This one could have been day ending. The youngster had a big day on his first start at Watkins Glen, sat on the pole and won the race. Still slipping and sliding here, Kansas. Not alone.
So his response back to his crew chief might be, I'm a little loose at 4.
Well, you don't know, because it could be, hey, I'm too tight to have a bunch of wheeling and the back goes around. But either way, the back of the car low on grip at least a couple times.
After the choose.
All right, so Brandon Jones back on the outside again, but this time Chandler Smith, the control car in the bottom lane, had a good initial start. We'll see if he gets a good restart. As the green flag is back in the air, he's getting a good push from behind from his teammate Eric Almirola in the 20. 3 wide in the middle is Parker Kligerman between the 2 RCR cars of Austin Hill and Jesse Love for right around the 7th place position. Hill going to be able to clear both cars above him, get back to that preferred outside lane, while Chandler Smith was able to clear high off of turn 2 yet again in front of Brandon Jones. Jones in the middle groove has the 20 car underneath him side by side for second. Although Almirola didn't get up off the exit of turn 4 as well as he would have hoped, Cole Custer instead gets to the outside of the 20, and we're side by side for third into turn 1, lap 12. Custer on the outside, Almirola still right in the bottom near the white line. About a groove off the wall was where Custer was running through the center of 1 and 2 that last time. And he was able to clear the 20 on corner exit. And quickly charges to the inside of the 9 car of Brandon Jones as they battle for second. Every lap of this race has been led by the 81 of Chandler Smith. Connor Zilic battling in traffic with the 98 of Riley Herbst outside the top 10 to battle for 13th between those 2 cars. Herbst clear in the center of 1 and 2. As Zilch continues to go backwards just a bit. Corey Heim had to lift quite a bit off the exit of turn 2. Got a big bump draft from Ryan Sieg on the outside of that back straightaway, trying to get him up going again. And that actually allowed for Heim to stay in front of the 3 cars charging on him on corner exit after that mishap. Heim the winner in the truck race last night. Last lap pass for the win after Ty Majeski, who was leading that final run of the race, trying to stretch the fuel window at the end, ran out of gas coming to get the white flag. Heim still was able to lead the most laps en route to his win. Also got a stage win as well. Pretty successful night as he looks for his quest to a Truck Series championship next week in the round of 8 opener for their series at Talladega. Brandon Jones, after fighting off a couple of cars, Custer and Almirola in the restart for second, has caught the back of this 81 of Chandler Smith at the front of the field. Top 2 run nose to tail for the race lead on lap 15. Jones about a half a lane lower through turns 1 and 2. And about a lane to a lane and a half off the wall through the center of the corner for both of those cars. Chandler Smith continues to hold clear. Battle for position between 2 more JGR cars, Taylor Gray and the 20 of Eric Almirola. Gray fighting through the field quite quickly here as he's already battling for 4th. Started this race right around 10th. And has had very minimal green flag laps to be able to work with to get to this point. Almirola now slinging up near the wall. He's been down around the bottom for most of this run. About as close to the wall as he could have gotten through 3 and 4. Big block, middle of the tri-oval, down to the apron to try and stay in front of his teammate Gray. That was an aggressive move there from Eric Almirola, barely clear. Chases the car to the top of the racetrack again on the other side through 1 and 2 to stay in front of Gray, as Gray is unable to make the pass on the bottom on a consecutive lap basis. Brandon Jones, meanwhile, has lost the race leader, Chandler Smith, just a little bit. Last lap, they were pretty similar in lap time, but the gap is now about 0.6 of a second after they were tightly nose to tail just a few laps ago. Lap number 18. Sam Mayer with a slide job pass on Austin Hill. Position where he did. Cleared it by a few car lengths up off the exit of turn 2. And Mayer to the middle groove now in 3 and 4. With Austin Hill running down around the bottom to try and catch him. But he's not going to catch him. He's going to stay consistently a couple car lengths back on the other end of the track into 1 and 2 yet again. 0.6 of a second lead here. Chandler Smith still over Brandon Jones. Battle for position on the bottom of the screen for those of you watching on the CW. Sheldon Creed takes to the inside of Riley Herbst in the 98. It's a battle for 10th. Creed started a little outside the top 10, so he's moved up a few spots. Coming off yet another second place finish last weekend at Bristol. And he comes into this race, obviously, with the lack of race wins, having a lack of playoff points. So he starts this round of 8 below the cutoff line. Needs a solid run today and didn't have it in qualifying, but these stages very short in the Xfinity series, as well as the truck side of things, with the races themselves being much shorter than what they are in the Cup Series level. Connor Zillage still back in the Hornets' nest outside the top 10. He's actually rallied a bit. He's picked up a couple positions from where we last saw him. Maybe becoming slightly more acclimated with his race car and the racetrack the more laps he gets in this one. I'd imagine that he'll be able to progress through the field as this race progresses onwards and we get closer to the finish as long as he keeps the car clean, as he has gotten by Ryan Sieg and Corey Heim in recent laps. Brandon Jones has now fallen just over a second off the race lead, and Cole Custer now within a half a second of the second place car, so we're about to have a battle for second place. A lot of seconds in that sentence. But Jones still obviously the highest running non-playoff driver for both the owner and driver standings. Go back to the 19 car of Taylor Gray, where you don't see an owner or playoff driver in the running order. Gray still in 5th. And he has since fallen behind Almirola once Almirola moved his car up to the outside lane near the wall. See getting back by Connor Zilic off turn 2 with a huge run down the backstretch and a big clearance down to the bottom lane of the racetrack to 3 and 4. Power move by Sieg as he pulls alongside Jesse Love, trying to stand that left rear corner panel Love, but couldn't quite side draft him enough. Jesse gets the run off the top off turn 4 to stay in front of him. Great racing that we're seeing here all the way through this field. A lot of slingshots being made lap over lap to make passes for position. Speaking of passes for position being made, Custer, as I mentioned, was closing in on Brandon Jones. He passes him getting into turns 3 and 4. And Jones with the run off the high side, going to try to get back at Custer. Custer, not going to be too aggressive with the block. Jones back to the inside. And they're door-to-door into turn 1. This time the 0-0 up high and the 9 down low. Custer about a lane and a half off the wall. Center of the corner. Jones went to the white line. Still a run on corner exit for Custer as he's cleared down the back straightaway and should be able to remain in 2nd place. And we'll see if he's got anything for Chandler Smith as we get into the second half of stage 1. Commercial break once again on the CW. We'll go through the full field running order for the first time in the early going of this race. Again, Chandler Smith is your race leader. Cole Custer is in 2nd. He's 2.2 seconds off the lead. Eric Almirola is 2.7 seconds back now in 3rd as he is quickly caught and passed Brandon Jones. Brandon Jones falls to 4th place. Taylor Gray in 5th. 6th place is now Justin Allgaier, so he's moving upwards through the field a bit. Sam Mayer in 7th. Austin Hill 8th. Sheldon Creed 9th. Parker Kligerman 10th. Riley Herbston 11th. Jesse Love 12th. Ryan Sieg 13th. Connor Zilic 14th. And A.J. Allmendinger in 15th. 16th for Corey Heim. Parker Retzlaff 17th. Matt DiBenedetto 18th. And 19th is Brendan Poole. 20th for Josh Williams. Kyle Sieg 21st. Anthony Alfredo 22nd. Jeb Burton 23rd. Daniel Dye 24th. J.J. Yaley 25th. Shane Van Gisbergen in 26th. Kyle Weatherman 27th. Sammy Smith 28th. Leland Honeyman 29th. Jeremy Clements 30th. Brad Perez 31st. Ryan Ellis 32nd. 33rd for Dawson Cram. 34th, Joey Gase. Blaine Perkins, 35th. 36th, Ryan Vargas. Patrick Emmerling, 37th. And 38th, Logan Bearden is the only car currently off the lead lap. Bearden, I believe, had pulled the pit road for an unscheduled stop within the last few laps, as he has scored 3 laps down. Maybe back on the track at the moment. We'll keep an eye on that going forward. Chandler Smith has led all 28 laps from the pole to this point. Brandon Jones, I guess technically gets credited with 1 lap led on the restart to the start-finish line on that last restart. So I guess Chandler Smith has led all but 1 lap in this race. And because that would have accounted for a lead change, we have now seen 3 lead changes with the 2 different leaders. 124.21 mile per hour average race speed, only caution back on lap 7. And we're about 20 minutes from the start of the race to where we are at currently. Again, lap 28. With Chandler Smith now ahead by only 1.2 seconds over Eric Almirola, his teammate, who continues to close on him for the lead. We'll take a quick break here. Again, you're listening live on KRC to the Kansas Lottery 300 for the NASCAR Xfinity Series. Hurst 1979 Olds, thanks for tuning in. Emogene Blevins, thanks for tuning into the stream. I know I didn't shout you guys out yet. Greatly appreciate you watching. Do I just read the subtitles off the TV? No, I'm not reading anything. I'm just commentating the race as I see it. The earpiece in my ears, literally just for the mic. I can't even hear audio of the actual race unless I unmute it. So whenever you guys are hearing the audio of the race coverage, that's when I'm hearing it for really the first time. Tend to do that during pit stop updates and periodically throughout the course of the stream to give my my breath a little bit, or give my, not my breath a little rest, give my voice a little bit of a rest as we continue on. But nope, this is live. My commentary, flag-to-flag coverage of the NASCAR Xfinity Series race. So during the commercial break, Eric Almirola had closed the gap to 1.2 seconds over Chandler Smith. Smith continues with about a 1.4 to 1.5 second lead post-commercial break, as race leader has just gotten himself into lap traffic, which might have been the cause for why Almirola was closing in. During the break, Ryan Vargas, Patrick Emmerling have gone a lap down Joey Gase in 35th, now the last car in the lead lap, and he's right in front of the leader as well. So we're going to see a lot more cars go lap down as we're in the final 15 laps of stage 1 based off of how everything is going right now. Last 3 finishes for Jesse Love, 6th, 8th, and 4th, as the graphic shows on the CW. Pretty solid for the rookie. Huge to get that first career win out of the way as early in the season as he did back at Talladega. We obviously know the RCR cars on super speedways have a lot of speed. Austin Hill winning at Atlanta, both Atlanta races for that matter. Spring Daytona race. Love at Dega, as I already mentioned, and really the only one that got away from him was that summer Daytona race just a few weeks ago. Be interesting what they could do at Talladega next week to try to propel themselves at. Appreciate that, Hurst. By the way, in the chat. Almirola continues to close. 10th of a second quicker than Chandler Smith that last lap. The only thing I'm reading, by the way, commentary-wise, is any of the stats you would see like on the screen with a lap-by-lap projector. Every time the race leader crosses the start-finish line is when our leaderboard updates. This is a raw feed based off of NASCAR.com. It's got the best speed, best lap when they ran their best lap, and it'll have pit stop times when we do see pit stops in this race. Few drivers topped off on fuel during the first caution at lap 7. Looks like SVG, Sammy Smith, who was obviously involved in the incident, Jeremy Clements, those drivers had all topped off on fuel. But everybody's still in the same set of tires they started the race off with, as these Xfinity Series teams get a lot more limited set than what we'd see in the Cup Series side of things. So nobody wanting to pit for tires after those first 7 laps. Chandler Smith dealing with a ton of lap traffic right now. Looks like Ryan Ellis has just gone a lap down. 29 car of Blaine Perkins is now losing a lap. Almost making contact was Perkins with Eric Almirola. See, Almirola was charging hard through corner entry. Almost slid up into the 29. It wasn't running all the way against the wall. But Almirola's trimmed the gap down to about a half a second now. He's going to have a chance of winning this first stage. Remember, this 20 team is battling for the Owners' Championship. We see a few years ago that the 20 car was in the Owners' Championship 4. Wasn't able to win the Owners' title, but still got to the Championship 4. That is what Eric Almirola is going to try to do with this 20 team over these next 7 races. And this car's got a lot of playoff points as well. They've won several times, 4 different drivers in that 20 car. Almirola being one of those wins back at Martinsville in the spring. Ryan Truex with 2 wins at Daytona and Dover with a win in there as well. And I believe Ty Gibbs was the 4th and other driver to win in that race car this season. Christopher Bell, excuse me, Bell at New Hampshire would have been the 4th driver to win in that car. Getting the 81 a little arrow loose off turn 4, getting as close to that left rear corner panel as he could without touching it. And that slight loose moment for Chandler Smith's going to cost him the lead as he was starting to fade a bit on the longer run compared to his teammate. Eric Almirola seemingly running the top side of the racetrack better than anybody else on track. Lap 38 of 200 at the time of the pass getting into turn 1 there. It'll be an official lead change at the start-finish line for the driver of the 20. And Almirola now leads late in stage 1. 7 laps to go in the stage. Chandler Smith had a pretty good corner through 3 and 4. Actually gained quite a bit of time on the front stretch. And might have a chance to go back for the lead. Almirola didn't completely drive away from him initially after making the pass. Smith went down to the white line on the bottom of the racetrack, but couldn't stay alongside the 20 for very long. And Almirola pulls him down the back straightaway with the speed off the high lane. So much more straightaway speed. Front stretch, back stretch with this progressive banking running all the way up near the wall versus all the way down to the bottom of the racetrack, which is the shortest route. We'll see how many more cars are going to go lap down to the end of this first stage as well. Jeremy Clements losing a lap now. Same for Leland Honeyman. Honeyman now currently the first car 1 lap down. They'll be battling for the free pass. Playoff driver Sammy Smith at 28, who was the cause of that last caution. And the only caution so far is the last car in the lead lap. And you know he's going to battle Almirola hard to try to stay on the lead lap if he can. Sitting where he is on the leaderboard, he's 25 points in the negative on the playoff cut line. Obviously, that'll change throughout the course of the race if he can pick up in the positioning order a bit. Brandon Jones trying to hang on in front of Sam Mayer for the 4th place spot. Mayer trying to pick up another point in the stage positioning order. He got picked behind the slow car in the 92. Tried to go to the bottom to make the pass on his teammate, but the lap car was there. We'll have to wait another lap or two to try to make another run at the 9. But he's definitely quicker than him as Jones continues to fade on this long run to begin the race. Where he qualifies particularly well, but as the race progresses, tends to fall off just a little bit on the pace side of things. Sammy Smith still on the lead lap. As we keep an eye on that, Sam Mayer in the 1 back to the inside of Jones through 3 and 4. Can't stay alongside the position. .1 second lead for Eric Almirola at the front of the field over Chandler Smith. Joe Gibbs Racing running 1-2. Then you got a Ford at SHR in 3rd. 2 JRM Chevys in 4th and 5th. Rounding out the top 5 on the manufacturer side of things. 2 laps to go, stage 1 now for Almirola as he continues to grow his lead out. Kyle Weatherman and Sammy Smith have each gone a lap down that last lap. So Sammy Smith is no longer in the free pass position either. Tough way to get into the playoffs. Kind of limped his way in on points. Struggling throughout the summer months of the season with Sammy Smith, but fortunately for him that he was able to get in the dance. Unfortunately, again, though, having problems in the early going, bringing out that first caution. His tires are old, and now here he is. The positioning he's at 1 lap down at the end of the first stage. Green and white checkered flag is in the air for the first time, and Eric Almirola by 1.7 seconds at the line is going to win stage number 1. That playoff point will carry over for the 20 car in the owner standings to the end of the stage. Meanwhile, as the stage was coming to an end, in fact, it was actually just before the race leader got to the start-finish line, we have a caution for Taylor Gray. Smoke coming out of the race car in the 19. Possible fluids being laid down on the racetrack, so that is the cause of the caution here. And tough break for Gray. Looks like that might be an engine detonation. Gray was running in the top 5 early in the stage. I believe he was still inside the top 10 before his engine appears to have given out. We'll have to keep an eye on those JGR Toyotas the rest of the day. We know that TRD has had a tough problem with their engine department across the Cup Series through the summer months, early playoffs, but Xfinity Series here looking like they're having a problem as well. I think Chandler Smith had an engine failure. Was it Michigan or Indy, something like that? He had an engine failure one of those 2 races too. Definitely another struggle on the TRD side of things with their engine program. And 19 car, the only car not in the driver or owner playoffs for the Xfinity Series. So I guess if it had to happen to one of them, championship side of things, theoretically speaking, at least it happened to that one. But again, we'll monitor the rest. So Almirola wins stage 1. Chandler Smith 2nd. Cole Custer 3rd. Brandon Jones 4th. Sam Mayer 5th. 6th for Sheldon Creed. Austin Hill 7th. Justin Allgaier in 8th. Riley Herbst 9th. And Parker Kligerman rounds out our top 10. Those are all drivers receiving stage points in stage 1. 1 point per position. And obviously Almirola getting the playoff point, which carries over to the next round for the owner standings for the 20 car if that car advances to the round of 8. Robert Bowman, thanks for tuning in. 15, junk, not the driver. Yeah, definitely some mechanical issues on that 15 team on a semi-regular basis. We have seen at times other drivers get maybe a little bit more out of that equipment than others, but do seem to have their fair share of mechanical woes. And a lot of them it seems to be in the beginning of these races too. Strange that they're not catching that in practice. When they roll into the race and they have an issue in the opening laps. We've seen that several times already.
It's ACC football as Wake Forest takes on NC State. Then it's off to Talladega as the NASCAR Xfinity Series. Those playoffs are heating up. Finally, we finish up in Corvallis as Colorado State will face Oregon State. CW Sports Saturday. That's next week, starting at 12 p.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific, only on the CW. There's the 8 of Sammy Smith on pit road, continuing to do work to that right rear quarter panel. Marty.
Yeah, Rick, I talked to Mike Bumgardner, and he said it's actually hurt pretty bad, Steve. So they're going to try and do the best they can here with damage. Already went down a lap, so there's really nothing for them to lose by coming down pit road when pit road is closed, because they have some significant piece that they fashioned really while that green flag run was going on. They could just fasten on there with pop rivets, which is what they're doing right now.
Yeah, they're going to try to make it as good as new, but, it's going to be a difficult task.
Steve, what's the ruling on that? I know you're not allowed to add parts.
You can't add parts and pieces, so most of it should be tape. The only exception would be if it's the tail piece. You must run a tail, so you can replace parts of the tail and the deck lid because they're required. If the quarter panel itself was missing, you would just be out of luck because that's not a required part. But the tail is required. Unlike last week at Bristol, where the 7 was running around without a tail because it was a short track. Here at the high-speed tracks, you have to have a tail, so for that reason, they'll let you kind of replace that component.
And Kim, what about Sam Mayer, the one?
Yeah, as we look at him, he runs the 5th position. That's where he started. So he's been able to hold his starting position, but he talks about how sensitive his car is up in the rubber, mostly loose, so they will look to tighten him up when they get that first pit stop. But you guys will like this in the booth. I asked him kind of what's his confidence level headed into the playoffs. They're looking at it as a reset. He said, what we have to do in this first round is play the equivalent of par golf, is what he said they need to do on track.
That's not easy, by the way. I'm just going to experience.
Bogey golf seems pretty attainable. He is a professional, though, so.
That's right.
But not a professional golfer.
No. The next generation of WWT superstars will have a new home when NXT moves to the CW. Catch the premiere this Tuesday. And speaking of catching things, Cole Custer caught up with a couple of the stars of NXT. Melanie Jordan and Ethan Page were here to say hello to the driver of the 00.
Try to get you a cage match, Rick.
I'm sure you did.
Yeah, well, it's not done yet. It's still in the works, but.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to take on either one there. But great to have them. See them right now on top of the pit box, enjoying this race from Kansas.
Not the race to get into a tussle with Cole Custer.
Yeah.
I don't know. The Cole Custer mustache was intimidating enough.
He's got some muscle behind him. So now the crews are ready to take on this first break. That we will see most of the cars make their way onto pit road. This is the lead lap cars as they come on to progressive pit road. And Marty.
Brandon Jones finished 4th in the stage, Rick. He said it started way too free, and you saw him lose those spots, but he said actually got better the longer they ran. Eric Almirola with the stage win, and you can just hear the veteran presence in his voice. He said the car was way too free, but let's just put 4 tires on it and see where the track goes, Kim.
As you look at the bottom left of your screen, the 00 of Cole Custer, he said, I am on top of the racetrack. I'm lacking overall grip. Way too free. You see the chassis adjustment. They'll tighten them up a bit with 4 fresh figure tires, Snowboat fuel. Also a chassis adjustment. Bottom right, 81 of Chandler Smith. He was complaining just way too tight. He needed 4 front turn, but he said, do not sacrifice my rear lateral. He said, I could not run the fence like the 20 because I was so tight. As we look at the race off pit road. Great pit stop by Cole Custer and his crew.
Yep. Cole Custer wins the race off Progressive Pit Road, gaining 2 spots, 5 spots for that 21 crew. They have been outstanding all season long. We've got the restart when we come back.
So Cole Custer wins the race off pit road, gaining 2 positions on the JGR Toyotas that were ahead of him of Chandler Smith and Eric Almirola. Smith loses a few positions in the pits, but not as many as Almirola. Almirola loses 6 positions on pit road, an 18.2-second stop. It looked like they were a little bit slow where the hiccup was on that 20-team pit stop. He'll be rolling off 7th on the restart after winning stage 1. This is our second caution of the race. Technically, the caution is for the 19 blowing an engine, which led into the stage end right as we were getting to the stage conclusion off turn 4. So that is the reason for the caution. 91 car, Kyle Weatherman gets the free pass. At the stage end, we're now at 27 cars on the lead lap to begin stage 2. Quarter of the way through the race, lap 50 of 200. You're listening live on KRC to the Kansas Lottery 300. Waiting to see what's going to come of this stage. Saw some great racing throughout the entirety of stage 1. A lot of action on the racetrack during a couple of those green flag runs that we saw. One much longer than the other with the lap 7 caution for Sammy Smith. Sammy, the only playoff driver not on the lead lap at the end of the first stage. Quite a bit of damage on that right rear corner panel for him, unfortunately. Definitely seems to be slowing him down. So battle for 27th will be the battle for the free pass when we get stage 2 underway. The only 2 non-playoff drivers in the top 10 right now, Brandon Jones in 6th and 10th, Parker Retzlaff. 7th for Eric Almirola for the drivers' playoffs as well.
Brought to you by Snapchat. What's life more love, more Snapchat. Progressive, save when you bundle motorcycle, RV, and boat insurance. Visit progressive.com. And by Toyota. Let's go places. So the way stage 1 ended, and you see the 16 on pit road now and taking a little bit longer stop here. They had an issue.
He was penalized during those pit stops. He had a penalty, uncontrolled tire, so they came down pit road to make some adjustments.
It's going to change a lot of things for this restart. And Marty, more issues for the 16?
So maybe sometimes a penalty can help you out, right, Rick? So see what they did on this stop. AJ just saying, I have absolutely no grip on the racetrack. So they made the call. Alex John said, hey, let's push a spring rubber in the left rear. We have it in there. We can push it in if you want. And AJ,
So that's a longer stop. The reason they did it now, because Jeff pointed out they're under penalty. They're going to start at the tail of the field because of the other issues. So I won't say it's an advantage, but you have to continue to crew chief, right? So if you've lost your track position, come in, take the left rear tire, put that spring rubber in, which will increase the spring rate of the left rear, adding some dynamic wedge, kind of basically trying to push that left rear tire into the racetrack to add some grip. The 9 back down pit road. This is interesting. Oh, looks like they're going to put some lug nuts. Looks like 2 lug nuts on the right front. So I'm okay with the wheel while they're dropping the jack. I have no patience for right side lug nuts as a crew chief. I used to lose my mind because you don't leave the right side until you have lug nuts on, right? Adam Wall right here doing the right thing, bringing his team down. Now, I'm not saying that the task is easy. It's very difficult to be on a pit crew. It is very difficult. But you still have to do the job. Leaving before the job's done, leaving the right side early just doesn't help the situation.
As they run, you see on the left side of your screen, Cole Custer goes to the top of this list because he's leading the race. He's a Riley Herbst fan. That puts Shane Van Gisbergen below that cut line. Parker Kligerman down there as well.
And remember, Chandler Smith and Eric Almirola came down pit road first and second. They came out fifth and sixth. So not the pit stops they were looking for. Austin Hill came out in second. That is the best pit crew in the Xfinity Series, period. And that is a major advantage because with the single lug nut in Cup, reliable, fast pit stops in Xfinity have become more difficult because Xfinity teams typically use Cup teams, and it's a challenge to go from changing one single lug nut on Sundays to 5 on Saturdays. And we see a lot of inconsistent pit stops during the Xfinity races.
So the field 2x2 once again as we get ready for the start of stage 2. Old Custer.
All right, lap 9 of 45 and stage 2, lap 54 of 200 entirely as the green flag's back in the air. Cole Custer taking the outside lane for this initial restart to begin second stage. Austin Hill looked like he spun the tires quite a bit on the restart. Custer was able to pull down to the bottom lane right in front of him into the first turn. Hill still riding the inside line, appears to lose another spot, maybe two, to his outside. Off the exit of the corner, Sam Mayer going to get into the second. And battling side by side for third along the 21 is the 81 of Chandler Smith. Smith on the high side. Chandler pinching the 21 down to the racetrack just a bit through the center of turns 3 and 4. A little bit better run off the high side on the exit of the corner, but Austin Hill doing a great job staying door to door with him. Chandler more rotation in the center of the corner. Hill slides up in line behind Smith. Side by side for Riley Herbst and Sheldon Creed, they battle for the 5th place position on the restart. Eric Almirola, who won stage 1, just behind them. Right off the exit of turn 4, Riley Herbst wins the battle for 5th. And Almirola now trying to capitalize by getting by his teammate as well. Oh, wow, there's a lot of contact on that restart. Daniel Dye and whoever was in line just behind him. Looked like Daniel Dye, Anthony Alfredo, perhaps. Couldn't tell if Dye had moved down trying to block Alfredo and then almost turned himself back across him, or if Alfredo might have pushed him in a weird spot. Whatever the case was there, that could have been terrible in the middle of the pack. We've seen some violent crashes at Kansas over the years, especially in recent years here, including in this very Xfinity Series race. Remember, Brandon Jones ended upside down just 2 years ago in the Kansas Speedway fall race. Hopefully we don't see anything like that here today. But it was on a restart headed down towards turn 1, same area of the track where that contact had taken place. Chandler Smith now catching Sam Mayer for second. Smith had good fire-off speed on the short run, but was overtaken on the long run by Eric though now. And faster cars who maybe didn't qualify in front of him earlier today are now up there based on their track position and how they ran towards the end of stage 1. Chandler Smith does make that pass for second. First corner he had a chance on Sam Mayer and will try to run down the race leader Cole Custer. Almirola's got a run on Allgaier for 7th. And actually, Allgaier just passed Almirola for 7th, so Eric trying to get this spot backside. Gets alongside the 7. He should be able to stay there down the back straight. And he'll complete the pass. Almirola has been probably closer to the wall on the outside lane than any other driver on the racetrack that I've seen so far through these first 59 going on 60 laps. And that could be, especially the longer this run goes and the tires start to eat away, especially on the rear tires. Over the course of this run with this degrading racetrack. Eric Almirola doing a great job thus far. Trying to get his second win of the Xfinity Series season in a part-time effort. Just not again. Now, Almirola couldn't go all the way to the wall that last time through 3 and 4. Same with 1 and 2. That's because the 18 of Sheldon Creed right in front of him isn't as quick, and he's all the way against the wall. Almirola trying to get a little bit of clean air on the nose. 7 of Allgaier continuously going down to the white line on the bottom, so that forces Almirola to have to run the middle. Creed just charges so hard on corner entry. It seems that the 20 just can't quite get underneath the 18. Same for the 7 down on the bottom as a result. You can definitely tell Creed's holding both of these cars up behind him. 7 and the 20 both look quicker. Allgaier slide job. He's going to try to pass 2 cars in one corner. Can't. And the 20 underneath the 7 on corner exit with a better run. Clears him down the back straightaway. Creed comes off the wall this time into turns 3 and 4. Almirola chases his car to the wall. Diamond cutting the corner off his Allgaier to try to get back underneath the 20, and he does. A lane change from Creed might have slowed both the 20 and the 7 up and continuously allowed them to battle each other. They're more than 5 seconds off the lead now. Chandler Smith definitely getting away in the second stage, and Almirola getting held up in traffic. That's a product of having the slow pit stop that they did. Creed down around the bottom of the racetrack again. Almirola near the wall. He's going to carry a lot of speed on the front stretch, and he may have a chance to get to the back bumper of the 18 this time into 1 and 2. And although Almirola was closing on him, maybe not enough. Working on lap 20 in the second stage this time by at the line. Creed may be looking a little bit better on the bottom of the racetrack than he is on the top. Brad Perez, slow car. On the apron of the racetrack, very slow. Don't think he's going to be able to get back to pit road, and that's going to bring out our third caution of the race. So the rookie Perez stalling out on the track here. Caution flag is out. First time in stage 2. Custer was managing his roughly 1 second lead over Chandler Smith. But this caution going to bunch the field back together. And we'll see if we have pit stops coming up very shortly here. Interesting time for this caution to take place. That's for certain. Free pass going to go to playoff driver Sammy Smith. Smith will be back on the lead lap as he had driven up to 27th on the restart. Maybe they have gotten the right rear corner panel, maybe not all the way fixed, but fixed enough for him to drive his way that far through the field. Heading to another commercial break during this caution period on the CW. Top 10 in the running order under the caution has Cole Custer in the lead, Chandler Smith second, Sam Mayer in third, Riley Herbst fourth, Austin Hill fifth, Sheldon Creed sixth, Eric Almirola seventh, Justin Allgaier in eighth, Connor Zilic ninth, and Ryan Sieg 10th. So again, that is the top 10, lap 65 under caution in the Kansas Lottery 300 at Kansas Speedway. We'll take a quick break ourselves. You're listening live again on KRC. Should be getting some pit stops here shortly. I don't know how many cars are going. A little over 20 laps completed in this stage so far. We'll see how these things are going to go. Let's see. I don't think any... So Taylor Gray, after his engine failure on the last lap of stage 1, That was the last lap he has completed, 45 of them. So he is off the lead lap and out of the race. So Taylor Gray, the first car out here this afternoon. Don't forget the chat poll closes at the end of stage 2. More on that in a moment. Here's pit stops.
Stops right under caution. You see that 2 of Jesse Love, one of the playoff drivers, they elected to come down, whereas the other playoff drivers did not. That's because he needs major help with his car. He said entry into 3 is too free, but overall the car just feels way too tight. They're going to take a round in the left rear and then pull out Packer while they're on this stop too. He also said he was hitting the splitter in 1 and 2 for Jesse Love.
So for Jesse Love, 4 sets of tires in the pits. They're going to use their second set here, and just the theory is that with most cars not changing tires, the fresher tires absolutely more grip on a very slick racetrack. Drive up here and finish in the top 3 and 4 of the stage. The 97, I don't think they're wanting to use a set of tires. They're just continuing to work on this car for SVG. He was on the lead lap inside the top 25 or 26.
What were they looking at on the right rear there, Steve?
Well, he scuffed the
I see
wall.
some scrapes above the right rear. Either that or maybe they're making a chassis adjustment. Pretty hard to tell from up here, Marty.
Chassis adjustment, Steve, just trying to take a big swing at it here for Shane Van Gisbergen, who said, I'm just so loose, I'm out of control. And to echo what you guys are saying, every driver is talking about how there is an absolute lack of grip here at Kansas today, getting warmer as the race goes on. So I get
Warmer. The wind is picked up from early practice later in the morning hours for the Xfinity Series to what the race conditions are here today as well. Of course, practice, qualifying, all taking place in the same day for the Xfinity Series this weekend, as it does for most of the race weekends. And we will see more of that, of course, I believe next weekend as well at Talladega, although there will be no practice next week, just qualifying along with the race. No practice sessions on the super speedways outside of Daytona at the beginning of the year. So very few cars hit pit road from the lead lap, but we did have advantage here, and I would imagine those drivers will be the ones to beat for the stage end if we do continue to go green all the way to the end of stage 2. I think the field is doubled up right now. Yes, they are. So we will be going green this time. Lap 70. We'll have 21 laps to go in stage 2. This time by the line. Alrighty. Cole Custer on the outside is the control car yet again. Sam Mayer down on the bottom. Last restart was pretty wild. We'll see what this restart will bring. Connor Zilic 3 wide to the bottom. Didn't even have to go to the apron to make that move to the inside of Eric Almirola and Sheldon Creed. Almirola power charging through the middle. Zilic ended up having to lift in the middle of turns 1 and 2. Looks like he might have overdrove the corner, and Justin Allgaier going to slide down to the inside of the racetrack as he hits the wall hard with the left front of his race car, and that is likely going to be the end of the day for Justin Allgaier. Our first playoff driver to more than likely exit from Justin Allgaier. Looked like he got loose off of turn 2. We'll see if there was contact. No, there wasn't. I mean, it was close. It looked like Sheldon Creed got loose on his outside, and Allgaier was doing all he could to not make contact with the 18. He turned down the racetrack. Unfortunately, into the inside retaining wall pretty hard with that left front fender. Luckily, at least for safety purposes, he did get the car slowed up quite a bit before making contact with the wall. Still a hard hit, don't get me wrong, but it could have been a lot worse. We've seen some beeline hits into that inside wall, and similarly styled racetracks in the past look way more violent than that did, but I think it's going to hurt the soul of the driver, the 7, more than anything. It's going to be an early exit, and that's going to be a 37th place finish, which he did get a handful of stage points in stage 1, but his race finishing result, if he finishes 37th, it'll be just a 1 point. Oh, Brad Perez stalled out. Still going to be 1 point for a finishing position. It's 1 point per position from 36th on up. So 36th with 1, 2 for 35th. So if he ends up 36, yeah, he'll only get 1 point. Very tight 3 wide middle. It really wasn't much of anywhere to go for Allgaier. He was kind of in the wrong place at the wrong time when Creed had gotten loose. Didn't really have a lot of room, and it's a byproduct of how tight things are running in the middle of the pack on a restart here at the Kansas Speedway. He did drive it back to pit road, and he is on the DVP clock.
Well, oddly enough, this team should have some practice with this because last week it's pretty similar damage. That was on the right front last week at Bristol. This time it's on the left front coming down pit road. Jim Pullman said, I'm not sure we can fix it. And unlike last week, Steve, they don't seem to be in a hurry. They let the field go by. Justin Allgaier has already gone down a lap here sitting on pit road. They're going to really focus on this left front damage, trying to get it fixed. And we'll see if they can indeed get it fixed, but already a lap down and possibly they can't go 2 laps down, right, Steve? So Jim Pullman's going to have to pull the trigger and send his driver around here in a moment.
Oh, looking at the damage of that, I don't think they're worried about 2 laps or 3 laps or 4 laps. I think they're worried about re-entering the race.
Yeah.
Minimum speed here at Kansas is going to be nowhere near as easy to reach as it is a track like Bristol. I mean, I'm wondering if this 7 car is going to make any more laps today up to speed enough to remain in the race.
So it has been a tough start to the playoffs, and even before the playoff for the 7 of Justin Allgaier.
Second time in stage 2 is the first lap after the restart, where Justin Allgaier had spun on the exit of turn 2. There was that slight contact with Creed after he had got loose, maybe got against the wall at the right rear corner panel just a bit. We've seen other drivers do that today and not have major issues, so I'd imagine Sheldon Creed's car is A-OK. Free pass going to go to Leland Honeyman in the 42 car, so Leland will be back on the lead lap. And again, this will be the 3rd driver to retire from the race if Justin Allgaier is not able to continue on. I'd be surprised, honestly. He crunched that left front fender down quite a bit when he made contact with the wall. All right. Well, I told you guys earlier in the stream that the restarts are pretty wild here at Kansas Speedway. There we have it. John Barber, thanks for tuning into the stream, by the way. See you in the chat. 18's been knocking on the door. His first career win. 13 top 5s so far. Yeah, 13 top 5s on the season, I think is what you're getting at. Let's see here. Sheldon Creed, yeah, 13 top 5s. Most top 5s of anybody in the series. He also has 13 second place finishes in his career before his first career win, so we'll see. Maybe that lucky number 13 is the number to go to victory lane for Sheldon Creed. He hasn't really had the same speed in his car today as some of the other JGR cars. Almirola and Smith have looked quicker. I don't think Creed's getting it done today, although there have been races where it looked like he was going to get it done when he didn't, so you just never know. Anything can happen in a full race is what I always say. And we still have over half, to say the least, here at the Kansas Speedway in this round of 12 playoff opener for the NASCAR Xfinity Series. Our coverage tomorrow afternoon will begin at 2:30 p.m. Eastern with our pre-race of the NASCAR Cup Series. Give my round of 12 playoff predictions, who I think the 4 will be eliminated, as well as the 8 to advance to the next round, on top of who I think will run well, not run well in the race tomorrow based off practice and qualifying, prior race history here at Kansas. maybe racing success for certain teams' lack of success over the last handful of weeks as well. So all that and more for our pre-race again tomorrow.
To protect first responders.
I'm not gonna admit this to my children, but I may or may not read a lot of the Trivial Pursuit cards just so I have a chance of keeping up with them when we play the game. I even have Trivial Pursuit coasters, which is good because it's like, I won't say it's useless information, but it's information I definitely didn't retain from school, so I need a little bit of heads up.
I go back to Cheers and I think of Cliff Clavin and all the information that he always gave us. I thought that would definitely be good at Trivial Pursuit.
It's hard to believe I was more the norm.
You
Norm! That was more the norm.
I understand. So already, and again, a little over halfway through the second stage, and these playoff drivers have had issues. Again, Sammy Smith.
That's right. Sammy Smith damaged the right rear quarter panel. They've been on pit road multiple times trying to get it fixed up.
And then the 16 of AJ Allmendinger, right front tire gets away. That's a penalty. He made a couple just to the left front of the 7. He's back on the racetrack. Let's see if he can climb minimum speed and get off this crash quadrant.
So the 7 of Allgaier will have to make minimum speed.
Nice job of repairs. Looks good. It'll all be if there's enough clearance or if the car is going to hit the ground when they try to run at speed.
Getting ready for the restart. It'll be 15 laps remaining in stage 2. Mayer, a little sideways there. And look at him fan out behind him.
Wow, what a move by Smith. Not going to work though.
Mayer on the bottom of the racetrack. He'll hold the lead, but for how long? Here comes Eric Almirola in the 20. Almirola to the inside of Cole Custer. And the 7.
Yeah, flat left front, hit the wall very hard going into turn 3, trying to make minimum speed. I believe.
Well, it wasn't killed before, it's killed
This
now.
is the end of the day for the 7 cars. We see the battle on the top continue.
And 88 of Zilich, that yellow car, he came out of that in 5th place. We saw him early in the race struggling on restarts. Did a great job that time. Got real aggressive. Picked some spots up.
Now running the middle of the racetrack, that's Austin Hill in the 21. Tucked in behind him, Connor Zilich running 5th. Mayer, Custer, Almirola, Chandler Smith, and Zilich, the top 5. Take a look at what happened to the 7. Steve, you mentioned it.
Yeah, obviously a ton of damage. Maybe have a tire go down. It was hard to tell. Yeah, left front goes down. Flat left front, straight to the whistle. That's a hard hit.
You mentioned it, Steve. You're better off staying on pit road and getting it fixed right than you are worrying about getting out there and losing more laps because of those things like that.
More than likely, that's going to put Allgaier's finishing position in 36th, which will be 1 point. Allgaier did gain 3 points in stage 1. So a total of 4 points for the day. Not very good.
See the 2 car, that red and white car, remember, he stopped and put tires on. 12 to go in this stage.
Jesse Love trying to get all of the good out of these good years.
So, you know, the problem is the Tootie's gone. I mean, it's a slight advantage, but if the tires were an advantage, he should have easily been able to drive on the 48 around the bottom. He couldn't do it. The 48 battles back to the outside. So it's kind of worst case scenario. Now you've used up a set of tires, and I'm not sure you've gained a whole lot for it.
Like 13th and in the top 10 at the end of stage 2. All get points, stage points.
Almirola trying to recover from that slow pit stop at the end of stage 1. He won stage 1. Can he battle back and go and win stage 2? Trying to run down Sam Mayer out there leading. I like this 20 car. I mean, right here. Look how it just accelerates through the middle of the corner.
20 right up against the wall there, right along with Cole Custer. Under 10 laps to go, and Cole Custer trying to close the gap on Almirola. Bear with the 7/10 of a second advantage.
33:29, chase the 33:32.
Information of lap times. Remember, unlike the Cup cars, they don't have digital dashes, so lap time information has to be reported over the radio, conveyed to the driver. Custer says, I don't need a lap time to know I'm better than the 20. He's getting bigger in my windshield. Doing it a lane lower as well. Pretty impressed with this 0-0.
He didn't go to the throttle, then he has to come back out of it. Car didn't have enough grip to stay in it. While this battle's going on, the one of Sam Mayer's driving away from him.
Custer gets to the bottom of the racetrack, but then you see the momentum of that high line for Almirola as it pulls away on the front stretch. Under 7 laps to go now.
81 is moved to the fence as well. He'll take gap on him here.
81's behind him. He's running 4th right now.
81 all the way to the bottom in 3 and 4. He'll 3 back.
All that information to Cole is to really let Cole manage the offense versus defense, right, Jeff? So now Cole, obviously, he knows what he's working on with the 20. But the information of the 80 panel,
Yeah, that's exactly right. It lets him just focus on what's ahead of him. And it takes a lot of trust in your spotter to completely believe in him. Still need to check it to make sure.
2nd, 3rd, and 4th on the screen right there.
it's been really documented. The 2-car came and put on a set of tires. The gamble was to score points. Well, the 39 Ryan Sega's 11th. Matt DiBenedetto 10th. Jones 9th. Creed 8th. The 2-car definitely has not gone as high as they had hoped he would on those new tires, but to not score any points at the end of this stage would be a huge blow to the 2-car. See if he can pull it off here with only 4 laps to go, 5 laps to go, just a short run left.
Yeah, what's hurting is that car in front of him is running where he wants to be. So you see, when they drive down here in the corner, the car in front is kind of taking the air away from him. He needs clean air to make this path to the bottom. Not going to be able to make it happen.
Didn't happen there. He's got about 3 laps, still 3.5 laps to see if he can get by the 39, and he's got to get by the 38 as well. To be able to score 8 points at the end of the stage. Sam Mayer said, the sport, it's very humbling, especially when you're an 18-year-old knucklehead like himself. He said you learn quick. That's one of the things that he's trying to do is learn every time he gets behind the wheel. See if he can get better, because now he has a championship out in front of him. But right behind him, he's got a hard charging number 20 of Eric Almirola. 2 laps to go, and Almirola's going to get there.
Watch the difference on corner exit. So see right here, Almirola puts it right on the boards, and he stays there. See, the one turns down. That gives Almirola a little bit of clean air.
Almirola about a half a lap lower. Now a lane lower, excuse me. And now he drifts back up just behind the one more time around for
He's
stage
there.
2.
Great adjustment by Sam Mayer, getting all the way against the fence.
Then just has to shut the exit of 2 off, because I think he could beat him back to the line off 4. He just needs to stay right there, kind of shut that air off. I think he's okay now.
Here comes Almirola. Dives to the bottom of the racetrack. The final time through 3 and 4 for this stage. He drifts up. He's not going to have enough. Sam Mayer is going to win stage 2. Second stage win.
Whoa!
It's around. Did he have some help from the 21?
Yeah.
Contact. I couldn't tell who changed lanes and who's at fault, but there was definite contact between the 21 and the 98. That cost him stage points. The 98 was kind of middle of the racetrack. The 21 was running the bottom. Let's take a look on corner exit. The 18's coming. I think the 98 doesn't go up to leave a lane. The 18, no.
He was sliding. Yeah, minutes 21 got to the back bumper. Herbst was loose. He slides through the grass and doesn't gain any stage points.
That's a tough break. They were both battling for the 6th place position, so Herbst, the playoff driver, looking like he was going to get either 4 or 5 stage points there at the end of stage 2, gets none in this stage, and now loses all of his track positions, going to be at the tail end of the lead lap after the spin through the grass. Luckily enough for him that the grass wasn't damp enough that it did not tear up the splitter of the race car. Not really much damage on the left rear corner panel where the initial contact from Austin Hill had taken place as well, so Herbst should be able to continue on with his original speed in this race. And luckily enough that it was a stage end, so tires back on the race car along with the rest of the field. But we'll see if Herbst can rally back to get back in the top 10 here before it's all said and done. End of stage 2, Sam Mayer wins the second stage, Eric Almirola second, Cole Custer third, Chandler Smith fourth, and Connor Zilic in fifth. Austin Hill 6th, Sheldon Creed 7th, Brandon Jones 8th, Matt DiBenedetto 9th, good run for him so far, and Ryan Sieg rounds out the top 10. Ryan Elson, 27th, will get the free pass to get back on the lead lap. And that is your stage 2 results here in this one. We'll end our chat poll as we're at the end of stage 2. As of right now, 56 votes were casted. 34% taking Connor Zilic for the win here today. Interesting. Justin Allgaier, 25% of the votes. He was right up there with him, but I think he dropped in the voting poll after his crash. Don't disagree with you there, I guess. 32% was actually second in the poll. It was somebody other than Zilic, Allgaier, or Smith. And Chandler Smith only getting 8% of those votes. So appreciate everybody that voted for that. 30 likes on the stream so far. Be sure to hit that like button if you haven't yet so we can try to get to 50 likes before the end of the stream. That will be our goal. And we'll be seeing our second set of pit stops coming up here very shortly. Second set for the drivers at the very front of the field. We saw a few lead lap drivers pit for tires during the middle of the stage because of a caution. Yeah, it looked like Herbst got loose up off the exit turn 4, and then Austin Hill basically finished him off. I don't know that there was going to be enough room for Hill to be able to just kind of, slide all the way up like he did, but Herbst was definitely loose before the contact. But with the contact taking place after Herbst was loose, there was zero chance that Herbst was going to be able to save it.
Coming with momentum, so he tries to get in between the two of them. Let's hear what Herbst has to say.
Trying to go find the 21 car. Well, you don't need a penalty for sub-elite lap, but you get fast pit stop guaranteed spot for start street. Trying to go.
And let's go back to Progressive Pit Road and Mark.
Yeah, Rick, Riley Herbst not very happy with Austin Hill right now. First and second in the 2 stages for Eric Almirola. And they asked him how the car was. He said, honestly, it was a bunch of short runs. I wouldn't do much. And his quote at the very end, I have what I need, Kim.
Did you see top right? That's Sam Mayer in the one car. They told him the 20 of Eric Almirola was beating you center exit because he was on the board. Sam said, I'm too free from the middle to do what the 20 did. I'm happy with it. No adjustments for the one. You see bottom left 00 Cole Buster. He just said I was way too tight around the wall. In fact, too tight everywhere. They'll make a track bar adjustment. Takes fresh Goodyears. And then Chandler Smith finishing up his stop on your bottom right. Chandler was just saying that he fired up a little free on entry, but built pretty good. Needs better drive off, and they had a really good pit stop for the 81.
There it is, the race off Progressive Pit Road. Chandler Smith gaining 3 spots. So does Sheldon Creed. A couple guys.
We were discussing.
Alrighty, so looks like Chandler Smith going to win the race off pit road this time. He was unable to earlier where he had lost positions back in the stage 1 pit stops, but not during the stage 2 pit stops. And this is also not the final stop of the race as we still have about half the race remaining. Estimated field window, a little over 60 laps, about 60 to 65 laps for these Xfinity Series cars at the Kansas Speedway. Most mile-and-a-half racetracks. Time for our Stage 2 diecast showing here today. And with this being a NASCAR Xfinity Series race, I'll show you a former NASCAR Xfinity Series paint scheme, or in this case, the NASCAR Busch Series paint scheme and car, as this is from 2005, 2005, number 81, Dale Earnhardt Jr. It's an 81 car for Chance 2 Motorsports, cell phone with himself and Kelly back in 2005 again, was when he drove this 81 car. Martin Truex Jr. won the title that year in the number 8, so the 81 was driven by Dale Jr. throughout that season in a part-time role. Won a couple races in the 81 car. I'm not sure if he won in this scheme or not, but schemes over the years. So made sure that I have an Oreo car and I have a Ritz car of Dale Jr. The Oreo is the number 3 from the early 2000s, late 90s when he drove the 3 car in the Busch Series, but yeah, this one, 81. So that is our Stage 2 diecast showing for today. We'll take a quick break and then we'll continue our live commentary coverage to get this final stage underway shortly. You're listening live to the Kansas Lottery 300 on KRC. It was a 7-stage win of the season for Chandler Smith, by the way, for anybody wondering. And obviously, again, he won the race off pit road, so he'll restart in the lead to begin Stage 3. How many cars do I have? I have a lot. Behind me, there are 49. Here's Justin Olegar with Marty Snyder outside the Infield Care Center.
Happened and walk us through the accident when your damage happened.
I wish I could tell you, Marty. We got that restart there. We went to the top. I thought we were going to be in great shape. And the inside row, I think they got 2 or 3 wide there. And I still thought the outside row was going to be the right choice. And Sheldon kind of got checked up. And we lifted a couple of times, and you can just see from the momentum. I mean, it's just really weird. I don't know if just the being behind him was just making him that loose or what. But then once we got to corner exit, it took off on me. And from there, I mean, I got to figure out how to not hit the inside wall in that situation. It seemed like it slid forever, and it was super frustrating. But proud of our team, proud of the effort, everybody at Junior Motorsports, everybody on this brand professional, Coach Camaro. I don't know that I've had a week of a stretch of races that have been like these last 3 or 4 weeks, and we're not out of it by any stretch. Obviously that's why you do all the work in the regular season to get the bonus points. You go have some luck on our side.
We'll see what happens with Justin Allgaier and his race team heading to Talladega next week. Out early here at Kansas, Rick.
Yeah, 4th straight accident, 4.
Not eliminated from the playoffs by any stretch of the imagination, but if there's no other issues with any other playoff drivers over the next couple of weeks, he may find himself in a must-win situation at Dega, and the Roval will have to wait and see what the points deficit looks like, especially on the other side of Dega, where anything could happen there to some of the other playoff contenders. As of right now, though, he is the first retiree from the race of the playoff side of things, and Sam Smith, who was a lap down earlier, had gotten his lap back with the free pass during the first yellow in the stage. Although I do think he fell a lap down again. Maybe during the caution, making some extra repairs of the 8. However the case was, I thought he had gotten the free pass earlier. Unless he didn't. He must not have gotten the free pass earlier. So with that being the case, I guess he is still a lap down in 29th. Jackson Robinson, thanks for tuning in. Don't have internet, so I'm listening to it. Hotspot is how I'm watching this. Well, appreciate you tuning in. One way or another. Getting set for this next restart here. One thing I noticed from the CW last week during the Bristol race on Friday night and this weekend's race for the Xfinity Series at Kansas, our live leaderboard is a little bit ahead of what is airing on the CW. So it almost seems like NASCAR's feed is, or at least the telecast side of things, the feed is a little bit behind where it usually would be. But obviously, until we see it visually, we don't know exactly what happens. We'll see what's going to happen visually here. Green flag back in the air as we begin stage 3 at Kansas. The NASCAR Xfinity Series 3 and 4 wide, middle of the pack into turn 1. Kind of tail end of this lead pack. Couple rows of 4 wide. Here, contact made right around Parker Kligerman in the 48, who was in the middle of that scrum. Chandler Smith was able to pull clear at the front of the field over Cole Custer to get back to the lead. And Connor Zilic going for third on the inside of turn 3. And he's got it as he passes Sheldon Creighton on the racetrack. And trying to go after these top 2 in the running order. Custer lurking to the inside of Chandler Smith, trying to put the battle to him up at the front of the field. Lap 99 at the line that last time by. Still a lot of 3x3 racing in the middle of the pack. Poor Parker Kligerman back in the Hornets' nest there. He's in the middle of all this 3 and 4 wide action on the restart. Top dozen or so breaking away from this pack of cars. Battling. Eric Almirola, after the slow pit stop, is back in 21st, also in that mix. Riley Herbst, after the spin, is in there. Shane Van Gisbergen and Parker Kligerman. So there's a few playoff drivers back there. Running with the squirrels, as some would say. 3/10 of a second lead at the front of the field following the restart for Chandler Smith over Cole Custer. 9/10 of a second back is Connor Zilic in third. Sheldon Creighton 1.1 seconds off the lead in fourth. Austin Hill in fifth, 1.4 seconds off the lead. Brandon Jones 1.9 seconds back at sixth. Ryan Segan 7, 2 seconds off the lead, 2.2 seconds back for Sam Mayer, who won stage 2. He is in eighth. AJ Allmendinger ninth, as he's 2.7 seconds back at 3.7 seconds off the lead is Corey Heim in 10th. We are halfway through this race today in the NASCAR Xfinity Series, and as of this point, Chandler Smith has led for the most laps. Smith has led 4 different times for 43, 2 laps for Brandon Jones, 1 rather, for Brandon Jones, who had sat on the pole. 18 laps led for Sam Mayer and 12 laps led for Eric Almirola. I mentioned that Chandler Smith had won the stage earlier. I apologize for that. It was Sam Mayer, and that was Sam Mayer's second stage win of the season. And that playoff point's going to carry over to the next round for him if he advances through the round of 12, so that could be big for that side of things. And obviously that's 10 points towards this round on the regular, or not regular season, but the actual standing side of things with those stage points. So 5 different drivers have led at least 1 lap in the race today, and we have total seen 9 lead changes. Chandler Smith back out in the lead, and adding on to that most laps led total that he has already had. Our average race speed is 106.64 miles per hour, and we're a little under an hour and a half from the drop of the green flag to where we are right now. 5 cautions so far in this one, and we've actually had 2 incidences leading into the stage end. So all these cautions have been natural to this point today. Lead is now grown out to 1.2 seconds as Chandler Smith is the quickest car on the racetrack at this point in the run. Connor Zilic closing in on second place. Cole Custer here. Josh Williams also battling Jesse Love on screen for 11th. One of the better runs that Williams has had so far this season. And Eric Almirola from the back of the field has already gotten to the inside of Parker Retzlaff for 13th place. Didn't make many adjustments on that last pit stop, and having to restart further back in the running order, obviously a disadvantage here. But he is getting track position very quickly. Probably going to need another caution at some point in time to get back into it. I don't think he would want to see the yellow yet, though. He'd probably want to pass some of these cars he's well faster than first. So that's less cars he would have to pass on an ensuing restart. Show the replay of Austin Hill and Riley Herbst again. Herbst very upset with Austin Hill. heard it over the radio during the caution period and saw a little glimpse of him driving near the 21 pit box under caution after repairs are made to that 98 as well. Austin Hill remains in the top 5, currently scored in 5th, where Riley Herbst in the 98 car, after being at the back on this restart, has rebounded to 16th. Chandler Smith still fastest car on the track that last lap, dropped to 33.105. His fastest lap of the race on lap 99 here in the beginning of stage 3. Under green flag conditions, that lap time was a 31.561, so already a second and a half of fall off at this point in the run. And our average speed is currently 171.097 mile per hour on that fast lap that was ran by Smith on lap 99. We're currently working lap 108, coming up on lap 109. It's crazy, a second and a half of fall off in about a 9 to 10 lap green flag stretch here at Kansas. Tires are important. That is for sure. And I believe all these teams have 2 sets of tires left the rest of the way. So depending how cautions play out here, we may see some varying pit strategies. It stays green all the way to the end through this final stage. There will be just one stop for fuel and tire purposes. But again, cautions could breed more pit stops into that. Riley Herbst getting by Parker Kligerman, who has struggled for most of the day. Kligerman spent all of his time outside the top 10. Final season of NASCAR competition here for Kligerman. Trying to go out with a bang and make a deep playoff run in the Xfinity Series. Maybe get that first career Xfinity Series win before the season's out. We're definitely struggling here this afternoon. Again, Chandler Smith leads by 1.3 seconds. Kligerman fighting back on the 98 of Herbst. Blows by him through turns 1 and 2. Jesse Love, Parker Retzlaff side by side in front of him into turns 3 and 4. Running the middle to bottom groove. Kligerman up on the outside, gaining way more time. Kligerman with a big run on Retzlaff. Gets to his outside while Jesse Love cleared him down low. And Parker gaining, looks like about 2 positions over the last couple corners. Got a big run on Jesse Love. He might get 3 positions in the last few turns. Basically passed 1 car per corner. Didn't clear Jesse Love yet. He's still side by side in the back straightaway with him. Kind of a 4-car battle, if you will, for about 13th. Kligerman is clear off turn 4 on Love. Herbst still trying to attack on the inside of Retzlaff in the 31. There's quite a few playoff drivers outside the top 10 of the 12 right now. Only playoff drivers in the top 10 would include Chandler Smith, Cole Custer 1st, 2nd, Sheldon Creed in 4th, Austin Hill 5th, Sam Mayer in 8th, AJ Allmendinger 9th. So half of the 12 are in the top 10, the other half outside. We'll take a quick ad break and continue our live commentary coverage on the other side. You're listening live on KRC to the NASCAR Xfinity Series Kansas Lottery 300 at Kansas. Sheldon Creed looks like Dexter from... He does look like Dexter. It's the glasses. I think it's the thick frame on the glasses. He does look like Dexter. I agree with you there, John. Roxy Bollinger saying go forward in the chat. Appreciate you tuning in, Roxy. Got 35 likes on the stream. Again, our goal is to get to 50. So be sure to hit that like button if you haven't done so yet. Subscribe for more daily NASCAR content. Again, live coverage for tomorrow's NASCAR Cup Series race will begin at 2:30 p.m. Eastern.
Out in front of the field here at Kansas. And he led 57 laps. We're going to take a look at the Xfinity fastest lap. And it was turned on lap 99 by Chandler Smith. Over 171 miles an hour average around this 1.5 miles. Chandler Smith definitely as fast as Xfinity Internet.
second, the 00 Cole Custer, the defending series champ, enters the playoffs. Big momentum off his win a week ago at Bristol, and trying to have a quiet day. While a win here would be amazing because it's automatic advancement, doing what he needs to do, right? He scored points, actually finishing third in both the first and the second stage for 16 of those such valuable stage points. Currently puts him 45 above the cut line, and I think he would love to finish your race off in that position.
Yeah, that behind him, this 88 car, Connor Zillage. We saw him early in the race trying to figure out this Xfinity car. This is his second start in the Xfinity series, and all sorts of traffic. These things are hard to drive, and sideways with a big save right here. Look how far around that car is. I could have taken out a lot of cars, and then even a little bit later, still sideways. But he came through that, didn't wreck the car, got the car driving the way he wants to, and now sitting there running third. Remember, he has a total of 2 Xfinity starts, this being the second one. In his first one, he sat on the pole and won the race at Watkins Glen. A lot of people in this sport think that Connor Zillage at 18 years old is the future. He's won in everything that he's done, and now he is trying the Xfinity Series.
Let's do a playoff through the field, and right behind Connor Zillage is Sheldon Creed. We'll start with you, Marty.
Sitting in the 4th position. When I talked to Sheldon earlier this week, I said, what's the goal for round 1? He said, honestly, my round 1 last year was terrible. I know it needs to be much better this year. And so far, it's been kind of a grinded out day for Sheldon Creed. The car's not been fantastic. He's kind of complained about the handling on every run, but on every pit stop, Sam McCauley has slowly made it better. And here he sits in 4th.
And in 5th, Austin Hill. You know, coming into Kansas Speedway, looking at his stats, he's got 11 top 10 in the last 12 races on mile and a half. And he told me he feels like people have overlooked their mile and a half program. He thinks that's their team's biggest strength next to their super speedway program. And I'm so kind of, what's his mentality here and what has he learned after the playoff runs he's been in before? And he said, we have to be there at the end is what the biggest thing he's learned is. And he said, during this run, they fired up just a little bit loose, but I think already starting to trim tight. That's Austin Hill in the 5th position. As we jump down to our next playoff driver, Sam Mayer in the 8th position. Sam was so optimistic when I talked to him yesterday, and that's because, like, this is anyone in the field's championship to win or lose. He said there's not a cut favor, and that favors them that they did not have a good summer stretch. And in terms of what he's learned, he said, you gotta be more locked in and methodical about every single lap in the playoffs. You cannot get lazy. Marty, right now you just said it fired up a little free on this run.
First time all day, AJ Allmendinger's been in the top 10, Kim. He said it fired off much better. But here's a quote from the Dinger. He said, I am literally turning right all the way through the corner. And yes, all these corners turn left. That's how loose AJ Allmendinger is. But I go back to what he told me earlier this week. He said, listen, if we can finish top 6 at Kansas, I'll feel much better about our situation going to Talladega. Not quite there yet, but in the top 10, Kim.
As we look at Clark Clement currently running in the 13th position, we talked about that long during the previous caution. They did so much to that race car. Springs, rubbers, chassis adjustments, hopefully getting it to a better position handling runs because it was just way too tight the first half of this race. And for this team, the goal at the beginning of the year was to make the playoffs. So that, they've got a check next to that goal. And then the next goal, he said, is to make the championship for it. That would feel like putting a bow on his full-time career. Because remember, Harvey, a couple weeks ago, Parker announced that he will not pursue full-time racing after the 2024 season.
Some credit to Davin Restivo, the crew chief, who are riding the herbs in the 16 now in the wall. I'm hearing Rick.
Actually, it was 26 with Corey Hine, yeah, and it might have been at the hands of Parker Kligerman because he was right behind him as Hine was checking up there and got into the wall. They were running 11th. No caution.
Well, they're all stacked up on top of each other right here. The 98 behind the 48, 48 behind the 26, 26 of Hive, just very loose. No contact. Loose already, and then the positioning of the 48 car to the 26 takes the air off the spoiler, and around he goes.
If we stay green, even after this, look at the field movement that Corey Hine had to make there.
When you can hear the tires squealing from in the car, that's loose.
Yeah.
I'm going to take your word on it.
Yeah.
I don't want to ride on board.
And Eric Almirola into the wall also in that 20.
He's trying to find that last 5% to make up for that slower pit stop. He's inside the top 10. I think he knows he has a car that can win the race. And that's why you're starting to see him push. 26, after that big slide, has come to the attention of his pit crew. They're going to pull tires. With 76 to go, expect pit stops with about 55 to go. I will say Chandler Smith, his mirror is getting a little bit bigger with the 00 of Cole Custer. Some of it was due to some lap traffic. I thought the 81 didn't get through lap traffic quite as well as the 00. You got this 92 in between them. And that's what happens, right? The 00 runs down kind of right behind the 92.
Oscar Graham in the 92. He's being scored 2 laps down.
So here's the 20. We saw him in the wall. Now he's got damage. He's going to have to come to pit road here. You said it, Steve. Trying to find that extra 5% with the bad pit stop and just overstepped his bounds. Got in the wall. Looks like the right rear is low.
Yeah, right rear losing air. I don't see any. I mean, the damage is scuffed up, Marty, but I don't see any crush panels or anything hanging down. We'll see if this can be a normal pit stop.
Yeah, he felt like the right rear was going down. That's why they're going to come down pit road after that contact with the wall. To your point, restarted 25th after that bad pit stop, just trying to make his way through the field. Was clearly the best long-run car here at Kansas, but that's another fast race car that had a shot to win this race that now is going to be down, a couple of laps here. Almirola already down 1 as he leaves pit road.
Now, I will say, if this runs green for the next 20 laps and the leaders all pit, these fresh tires are going to allow the 20 to gain a ton of time. It would have to be a perfect scenario, but if we can run green through the cycle of pit stops and then maybe get a caution like reasonably right after the leaders pit, maybe 5 or 10 laps after the leaders pit, the 20 might actually gain some track position, but it's not a call you would want to make. Obviously, their hand was forced with the damage.
Still up front, Chandler Smith has about a half a second lead over Cole Custer.
I think Cole Custer has a better race car, and I think it shows up in traffic. He's probably about the same when they run top together, but when they have to move off the top, it looks like the 00 can make the pass a little cleaner. Or the lap cars are being nicer because he's in second. It's one of the two.
Currently, 24 cars on the lead lap. J.J. Gailey running in that 24th position.
Let's ride along, Cole Custer. Listen to him. Listen to the throttle. Trying to drive it like a Darlington where you go to the throttle, you find grip, you start losing it, you lift off the throttle all the way through the corner. Let's listen again. Normally you would try to go to the throttle and stay in it, but this racetrack, it's so slick. You're just trying to carry as much pace as you can to the center of the corner. A lot of throttle, back out of it, get grip, find the throttle again. 24 to his 39. 10 and a half a second faster doing what he's doing. It's so fun up there against the wall, especially when you're running the guy down in front of you.
And that's what Custer is doing right now. It's down to 0.4 of a second. The gap between Chandler Smith and Cole Custer. 70 laps to go.
Getting close to green flag pit stops potentially opening up here. Again, 70 laps to go. It's third at 1.9 seconds off the lead. A bigger gap back to Sheldon Creed in fourth at 6.1 seconds off the lead. Austin Hill is in fifth. Ryan Sieg sixth. Brandon Jones seventh. Sam Mayer eighth. AJ Allmendinger ninth. Riley Herbst in 10th. Parker Kligerman 11th. 12th for Josh Williams. Parker Retzlaff 13th. Daniel Dye 14th. And Brendan Poole 15th. 16th for Matt DiBenedetto. Shane Van Gisbergen 17th, 18th for Jesse Love, Anthony Alfredo 19th, and Kyle Sieg is 20th. Jeb Burton 21st, Leland Honeyman is the last car in the lead lap at 22nd, J.J. Ailey first car lap down in 23rd, Ryan Ellis 24th, Eric Almirola 25th, lap down after his unscheduled stop not that long ago. Kyle Weatherman 26th, Joey Gase 27th, Corey Heim unscheduled stop for him. It looks like Heim now to 26th and Gase 27th, passed him for a position. Sammy Smith is 28th. Still a lap down for him. Jeremy Clements 29th, Dawson Cram 30th, Patrick Emmerling 31st, 32nd. Kyle Weatherman. Blaine Perkins, 33rd. 34th, Logan Bearden. 34th, rather, Ryan Vargas. And then Logan Bearden, 35th. Justin Allgaier out of the race, 36th. Same for Brad Perez, 37th. And Taylor Gray, 38th. So 3 cars out at this point. Hour and 45 minutes into this race. Our average race speed is 114.27 miles per hour. We have not seen a caution yet in stage 3. It's the longest green flag run of the day so far, and we have had 5 cautions total, all for incident, even the 2 that bled into the stage end at stage 1, stage 2, lap 45, and lap 90. And obviously 3 other cautions for incident. The Allgaier crash lap 69. 45 stalling out on the racetrack, lap 64, and the lap 7 spin from Sammy Smith as well are all the incidents for caution to this point in the race. Battle for the lead intensifies between Cole Custer and Chandler Smith. Custer has caught the 81 of Smith. Sammy Smith getting lapped a second time off turn 2. So that playoff driver now 2 laps faster on the outside. Chandler Smith, middle. Cuts to the bottom. Back to the top. Trying to help himself get a little bit more straight line speed off. But Cole Custer really able to gain a lot of time in the center of the corner for the moment he had the clean air on Chandler. Half a lane now off of the 81 for Cole Custer, but not all the way to the bottom of the racetrack with the 42 car, Leland Honeyman, in the way at the moment. He goes a lap down. Custer back up near the wall again in a similar lap. Through 3 and 4 this time for Chandler Smith as lap before, where he starts a lane off the wall, cuts to the middle to bottom portion of the racetrack, back to the wall and corner exit. Chandler really diamonding the corner off quite a bit through 3 and 4. Big gap for these top 2 in front of the field compared to a lot of other cars. Parker Kligerman, for instance, in 10th is 18 seconds off the race lead from these top 2. Though, Connor Zilic not out of it yet, as he's still only 2 seconds off the lead in 3rd. And if the battle intensifies out at the front of the field, it could allow Zilic to gain some time. Battle, first opportunity. Custer had to get to the inside with cleaner traffic underneath on Chandler Smith. He did it, and he makes the pass for the lead through 3 and 4 that last time by. Second time Cole Custer has led here today, now lap 138. 62 laps to go. And we're right at the edge of that fuel window. We do have at least 1 car in right now. That would be Ryan Sieg from 7th. So Sieg pits from 7th place. We'll see if anybody else will come down.
Pit road, Kim.
Yeah, they've been having a great day. It was kind of heartbreaking considering they just missed the playoffs. The first driver points-wise out. Right now, just needs a little bit more grip and more turn for Ryan Sieg. 4 fresh Goodyear tires and Sunoco fuel.
Jeb Burton also down on the pit road. Riley Herbst passing Kligerman for 9th on the track. Would have been 10th before Sieg pitted. So Herbst has rallied at least to try to get himself back in position for a good finish. And to salvage as many points as he can come by on that playoff deficit. Once Custer got to the lead, he is running well quicker lap times than that of Connor Zilic and Chandler Smith. Zilic went from 2 seconds off the lead mid-battle between the 81 and the 00 to now 3.5 seconds back. Maybe struggling a bit in lap traffic the last several laps as well. That could also be factored in, but we don't know for sure because it wasn't shown on camera on the CW. Fresher tires for the 20 of Eric Almirola. I wonder how much time he's gaining after having to make that unscheduled stop. But I think he's outside the fuel window to make it to the end. Austin Hill on pit road from 5th.
And then it will be decision time for the leaders, because if you wait too long, you will cycle out behind him, Kim.
And Austin Hill about to go to work. His crew has been one of the best all year. Austin, during the beginning of that run, said they started out loose, but just was trending too tight too quickly. Then by the end of the run, they did start to build up a little bit free as you change 4 fresh Goodyear tires, snowball field, the air pressure adjustment for playoff driver Austin Hill.
Right, so Austin Hill leaves the pits. A 15.6-second stop for him. Sam Mayer on pit road from 6th. Same for AJ Allmendinger just behind him. Riley Herbst is in.
More nervous as we see Sam Mayer on pit road, Allmendinger on pit road, Marty.
Yeah, AJ Allmendinger did say it fired off better, but still lacked grip the longer they ran. So going to make a pretty decent air pressure adjustment here, trying to make that car better. Riley Herbst drove from 26 to 9th during that green flag run to the car, which is a little bit too free at the very, very end of the run, Kim.
You see Sam Mayer at the top of your screen finishing up his pit stop. Solid day for him and his team. He was letting go, no right here. Cameras too loose on exit, so they did make adjustments in addition to changing tires and taking fuel. As we see more cars on pit road, including Parker Pluckerman. He was reporting this run that it was a little loose, but better than being tight. Remember, they made those wholesale adjustments the last stop because he was so tight. Could not turn in the center like he wanted to, so they're put on Brett Goodyear tires. Of course, take fuel, wait on fuel just a second, and then you see Chandler Smith on the bottom of your screen. He just was complaining overall more grip center to off, especially in 3 and 4, as he'll stop in his box and go to work on that, Marty.
Here's his teammate Sheldon Creed wrapping up their pit stop. They had the best car on the long run. Sam McCauley said, let's take advantage of that on this run. Sheldon Creed leaving pit road was running 4th at the time, tracking down 3rd, Kim.
And Cole Custer starting his green flag stop. His complaints loosen and off, fired up tight in the center. So they'll look for some adjustments during this stop as well.
This tire rolling across pit road could be very nerve-wracking. If I'm Jones Williams, I'm staying on the racetrack. Custer on pit lane. That tire's far up out in the grass. It might require a yellow. The 00. Oh, there it is. The cautions. The question will be, can the 00 get to the end of pit lane? That's what matters. We're trying to pick up Jones. He slowed down on the backstretch. Oh, what a break for the 00. I believe he will stay on the lead lap. Because of where Jones was and how the pit cycle was going to work, we'll have to confirm that as it cycles around. Let's see where the tire came from. Came from the Parker Retzlaff machine. Oh, man. And then you're helpless. Now, if I'm at 00, I might jump over there or grab that tire. I don't know if I would guaranteed want a yellow, but I'm going to have to see how the scoring cycles all around. I think the 00 is going to stay on the lead lap the way this was going to work because, first of all, they pitted kind of from the lead. And then the cars that stayed out were farther enough back. And with the yellow coming out, they slow down and he gets scored to pit exit relative to the leader. So when I look at the current running order, Jones, Williams, Guy, we'll let this cycle around. But I think Cole Custer is going to be on the lead lap. It's going to end up being a huge advantage for the 00.
Our scoring monitor has 15 cars on the lead lap. But again, as you mentioned, that's going to reset here. And we're hearing from NASCAR that he did stay on the lead lap.
Yeah, well, let's scoring cycle around and just see who else. I think the 81 as well. He was a lap earlier. I think he ended up staying on the lead lap. It's a good break for Almirola. Remember, he came with those flat tires. He was going to cycle way out to the lead, but on old tires and get gobbled up. Plus, he couldn't make it on fuel. So now Almirola, I think, could pit with this cycle. That would be his last set of tires, but at this point, nothing really has gone right for the 20 other than having an amazing race car. So, Jeff, I think it might be time to... You either put the set of tires on now and cycle up with the leaders, knowing you're a set behind Cole Custer and those guys, or you stay out now, assuming we're going to have a caution. But as much green flag racing as we've seen, I'm just not sure we're guaranteed to see a yellow.
You almost have to wait, let this thing cycle around to see where you are, how many cars are lapped down, right? I think it's probably going to be 15 or so.
So we're hearing the 39 of Ryan Sieg is going to be the free pass. He was the first car scored a lap down.
All right, so let's look at this right here. Make sure I have my line in the right spot. Above Creed is on the lead lap. So that means Custer will stay out. Chandler Smith, Hill, and Creed. You're going to have 4 cars that are going to stay on the racetrack. Almirola could be the 5th. 20 lap older tires, he could stay out and save that last set of tires. everybody last on pit road around 93. They haven't made their green flag pit stop yet. They're all going to come to pit road. That is going to be very interesting. Then we're going to see who gets trapped down a lap by the guys that are still on the racetrack. So this is going to have to cycle a couple times for us to be able to give you a really clear picture of what the race looks like.
You can see there's some cars that are in between Jones and what will be the leader, and those guys will get back in the lead lap. You just gotta let it cycle. It'll be pretty clear here in a couple minutes.
Is Zilich on the lead lap?
Yes.
I mean, he scored on the lead lap, so
Yeah,
I just want to make sure that
Connor Zilich also was on the lead lap, yeah. So he's like last car. I knew I was going to get that line in the wrong spot. It was behind Zilich.
But it's all good. Man, again, once the scoring continues to cycle through, we make sure everybody that's on the lead lap, and the guys that had just come, Steve, they take the wave around, so they make sure that they.
Well, they can't take the wave around if a car in front stays on the racetrack.
That's true.
The key is some potentially are in between the 9 and then the 81
Right.
and those guys. If you're in between it, then you can stay out.
So if you're in this shot right here off the rear bumper of the 00, the 00 is going to stay out. You're not going to be eligible for the wave around. If you're in front of the 00, then yes, Rick, you can then wave back around. You can start all the way at the tail, but you're on the correct lap.
Well, it's the.
You think this is hard? You should try doing it from down there on a pit box.
You were looking the other direction. For 6 times today, the wheel and caution lights have come on. Then again, the official warning lights of NASCAR, trusted to protect first responders. 6 cautions, and I know we have 53 laps to go, but at Kansas, 6 cautions is probably one of the lower number of cautions at this.
This is the leader of the race, Brandon Jones. He's coming down. See the one car of Mayer. He's going to stay out, so he'll get back in a lead lap.
Marty.
All Rick, cautions in the middle of a green flag pit cycle. Always a lot of fun. You see Brandon Jones coming down pit road, as you guys mentioned. His car just rolled at 2-3. The main playoff driver coming down pit road is Shane Van Gisbergen, who called his car full at one point, just with no grip. And also to answer the question about Eric Almirola, yes, he did come down pit road to get fresh Goodyear tires. So we'll see how all this plays out. But the 20 car, yes, coming down pit road for those fresh Goodyears.
It looked as though Mayer, Allmendinger, Herbst, all were in that gap that you guys were talking about that could get the wave around. So now that we have had pit stops, when we come back, we'll reset the field.
Everybody be asking me, man.
There were only a few drivers that did hit pit road that remained on the lead lap. Those would include Cole Custer, Chandler Smith, Austin Hill, Sheldon Creed, and Connor Zilich. So top 5 stayed out. They'll be your race leader, those 5 I just mentioned. We 1 through 5, and then Brandon Jones, who won the race out of the pits, of those that stayed out trying to catch a caution. So they will be back in the running order. Slightly fresher tires than those in front of him, or at least in the case of Cole Custer, he was literally on pit road when the caution came out, so I don't think he would have hurt his tires any. If anything, he's probably got a couple of fresher tires than that of a Creed or a Hill or a Smith, who had already exited pit road, got up to speed, ran a lap or 2 before the caution. Zilich as well. I think Cole Custer might be in the best spot with this caution, honestly. And he was already leading before it had taken place, too. So we're going to have right around 50 laps to go in the restart. Maybe a little less than 50 to go in the restart because they haven't gotten the 1 to go signal yet. So we'll take a quick break. So you're listening live on KRC, the Kansas Lottery 300 for the NASCAR Xfinity Series. Yeah, all these cars pretty much have equal tires. 6-lap fresher tires for Jones on back, but those aren't all green flag laps. Really, it's only 2 to 3 green flag lap fresher tires at the most. So I don't know that that's going to make much of a difference, especially when you consider the fact that the guys that are on the disadvantage, I guess, if you will, of having 2 or 3 lap older tires are the faster cars in the field today. They've been running top 5 for most of this race, or at least in the later going as they were getting themselves up, which is the case for some. Custer taking the outside row 1 of the restart. Inside row 1 in the restart is going to be the 3rd place car, Austin Hill. Chandler Smith, who was in 2nd, took outside of row 2 behind the race leader. So that's interesting. Tells you how much they think that fight for the top lane of the racetrack is going to mean here. Yeah, definitely be sure to hit the like button on the stream if you haven't done so yet. Our goal is to get to 50 likes today. We are currently at 38. So be sure to hit that like button, ladies and gents.
Jesse just complaining he was neutral to free on entry, and then several numbers tight center, saying the front end of that race car just did not work.
Danny Stockman, veteran crew chief.
So you're looking just to the right.
All right, 49 laps to go in the restart. Again, it'll be Cole Custer out in the lead to try to control the field through the restart zone. Most of the time, we've seen the race leader take the bottom, although the top has worked at times. Green flag back in the air for Custer. Pretty good launch. Austin Hill spins his tires. That's second from Zilich down into the first turn. But Custer's going to hold clear in the middle of 1 and 2. And Austin Hill not going to be able to slide in clear for second. Chandler Smith will outside of row 2. Hill trying to hang on for third with Zilich just behind him. Almirola back in the top 5 to 5th from the restart. And a lot of 3 wide racing back half of the top 10 and just beyond that. Daniel Dye wiggles a little bit, goes up the hill, barely clears Anthony Alfredo and Shane Van Gisbergen into his outside. Daniel Dye up to 9th place. He was eliminated from the Truck Series playoffs last night. Dye getting yet another start for Kaulig Racing in the 10 car this season. He's ran several races with that team in the Xfinity Series this year, and another one obviously here today. Custer continues on with the lead. Almirola back up in the top 5 for the first time in a while after winning stage 1. And he will make a pass for 4th on Connor Zilich. Almirola all clear. And Eric quickly closing in on the 21 of Hill now as well. Needs to make a quick pass before the 00 and the 81 get too far ahead. Only about a second and a half off the lead at the moment, though Zilich quickly fighting back underneath the 20 for 4th place, so that battle ain't done yet. And as that continues on, that's going to hold Almirola back. Chandler Smith has had good fire-off speed, not as good long-run speed as, say, the 00 or the 20 in this race. Chandler Smith is right there with the short-run car all over the back of the 00 and trying to take advantage of this restart. Custer down to the bottom through 3 and 4. Chandler Smith rolled the middle, but not all the way up near the outside. Carry a little bit more straightaway speed than Custer, but not by a lot more. Chandler down to the bottom of the track through 1 and 2. Custer goes to that kind of third lane, upper middle. Smith underneath him, side by side for the lead, down the back straightaway. Door to door, big side draft for the 81. Same for the 00 now on corner entry through 3. Custer pushes tight in the middle of turns 3 and 4. Chandler Smith going to try to pull clear. Wiggles off the exit of the corner. Almost squeezed the 00 into the wall as Chandler Smith hops back out in front of the field. Close call there in that tight battle. Chandler Smith does overtake Custer, though, with 44 laps to go. And now can he drive away? Austin Hill still sits in 3rd in front of Almirola and Zilich, further off the lead. Chandler Smith has led the most laps in the race so far today. 81 laps led for the driver of the number 81. 5 different drivers have led at least 1 lap in the race. We now have had 6 cautions. Only 1 in this final stage. And we have had 12 lead changes amongst those 5 different leaders so far today. 21 cars currently on the lead lap. Which means we had 5 drivers take the wave around, not including the free pass which went to Ryan Sieg to get back on the lead lap there, virtue of the last caution, which was in the middle of green flag pit stop. So it did trap a few other drivers an extra lap down. Anthony Alfredo busted into the top 5, getting by Ryan Sieg recently for 10th. Eric Almirola underneath Hill again for 3rd. Was unable to pass him earlier, getting alongside of him. This time, down to that white line. Going to slide up. He clears the 21. Gets enough bite off the exit of the corner. And he should be able to stay in front of the 21. Hill now blocking Zilich for 4th, who's hot on his heels. Zilich to the inside of the 21 into turn 1. Down the bottom of the racetrack. Hill in the dirty air behind the 20 should allow for the 88 to clear, and does. Connor Zilich to 4th. Great drive by Zilich today. We knew how good he was on road courses before going out at Watkins Glen in his Xfinity Series debut, setting the pole, and then proceeding to lead the most laps and win the race. Here today, it actually fell out of the top 10 before the end of the first stage. Running right around 13th, 14th, and he's just kind of gaining laps in his repertoire here at Kansas with this car, and over time has now gotten himself up to 4th. He was as high as 3rd, but Almirola on this restart has moved to 3rd after he had lost track position from winning stage 1. At last lap, Eric Almirola was the quickest car on the racetrack with a 33.228, although it was only about 600ths of a second faster than the leader, Chandler Smith, but it was quicker. So we'll monitor that, as Almirola has seemingly had the best long-run car of anybody today when in this kind of track position. Top 5 or so, and trying to scratch and claw, so if it stays good into the end, the 20 car could be the one to beat. Custer, meanwhile, slowly losing time to chase, a couple hundredths quicker than Smith that last lap. He hasn't been consistently quick enough to continue to close the gap. Fight for the outside lane going to become more and more prominent as these tires continue to wear out, and that is where the 20 car has been at its best, is up near the wall today. So kind of surprising that he hasn't been up near the wall for a majority of this restart. Imagine since getting to 3rd, he's probably going to be driving up there. Scheduled pit stop, he may be a little leery on running up there. Maybe his car isn't handling quite as well as it was earlier in the day. Side-by-side commercial break again on the CW. In that last lap, Chandler Smith was now the quickest on the track. Smith still has the fastest lap overall in the race of a 31.561. It was on the early laps of stage 3 back at lap 99. It's an average lap speed of 171.097 miles per hour. Again, he's had that good fire-off speed. Short run gets to the lead here as well. Custer a little bit better on the long run. Had actually caught and passed Chandler Smith right before the green flag pit stops took place in the middle of stage 3. And then obviously in the middle of green flag stops is when the caution came out. So we'll see if Custer can close that gap as well as Almirola back in 3rd. We'll take another break, perhaps our final of the race today. If we do stay green to the finish, you're listening live on KRC to the NASCAR Xfinity Series Kansas Lottery 300 for the NASCAR playoffs. Just a great drive so far here for all of those top 3, really. Top 30 on the pole, one of his better runs of the season. Austin Hill continues to drop from the restart. Initially was 3rd, now back to 6th. Shane Van Gisbergen. He's battling for all the points he can right now as he is racing with Ryan Sieg for 13th on the track and Riley Herbst 12th, just in front of both of those cars. Austin Hill really just trying to hold on to every position he can. 1 point per position in the finishing order. And obviously if you win, you advance to the next round of the playoffs. That is what Chandler Smith, Cole Custer are trying to do up at the front of the field right now. Win and advance to the round of 8. You won't have to worry about the Roval or Dega in the next 2 races. Go out there, obviously race for the playoff points, but have the sigh of relief knowing you're in the next round no matter what happens. Currently have 40 likes on the stream now. We're 10 away from our goal. So again, be sure to hit that like button if you haven't yet, and appreciate everybody that has tuned in throughout this afternoon's live commentary coverage of not only this NASCAR Xfinity Series race, but the NASCAR Cup Practice qualifying stream earlier today, as well as last night's Truck Series race at Kansas Speedway. Again, full flag-to-flag coverage with our pre-race beginning tomorrow for the Cup Series at 2:30 p.m. Eastern, right here on KRC. Lead down to 0.7 of a second post-commercial break. 31 laps to go. Cole Custer tries to close that gap on Chandler Smith. And the gap between first and third is closed as well. It's 4 seconds at the commercial break. It's down to 3.1. Last lap, Eric Almirola 0.3 quicker than race leader Chandler Smith. Hey, Custer even a couple tenths quicker than Smith that last lap, and he's within about 3 to 4 tenths of a second of the lead. Chandler just struggled that last lap. I don't know if it was because of the lap car he just passed. What the case was. They are catching lap traffic, so you're going to have to manipulate your way through it. They're not just going to pull over and give you the run, especially with this many laps still to go. They're up on the outside. You may have to change your line, and if you're not handling well to not run the top on these older tires, whoever can run it the best is going to be the one to close the most. Be able to try to seal the deal late. 29 laps left. We're setting up for a good one here at Kansas. I have that feeling. Seen a lot of great finishes at this racetrack across all 3 series the last several years. Even last night, I mean, a last lap pass for the win and a fuel mileage finish with this one. It's going to be a race. Who's going to be able to race their car to the front of the field when it matters here down the home stretch? Cole Custer is really gaining a lot. It seems like through the center of turns 3 and 4 is where he seems to be gaining the most ground on Chandler Smith in front of him. Smith gives him that outside and that clean air advantage, running a half lane off the wall, diamond cutting the corners off, kind of like he was during the first green flag run of the final stage. Custer had to go to the bottom of the racetrack to get by the lap car that time through 1 and 2, so that may have cost him just a bit. Meanwhile, Eric Almirola still rips the outside near the wall. He's down to just 2.5 seconds off the lead, and still is the fastest car on the racetrack. Custer up near the wall again. Chandler Smith a little bit off of it. That diamond cut of the corner seems like he's still able to carry enough straightaway speed on corner exit doing that line, which is working out for him, I'd say, fairly well. I mean, if he could run the very top of the racetrack, that would probably be the way he would like to go. But if his car's not handling there well enough, that is the caveat to running that outside lane and being able to get the best corner exit you can to keep from Custer, who is running the top all the way against the wall, to not give him that much more straightaway speed. There's a drafting aspect that Custer's able to use the back bumper of the 81 now that he's close enough to him down the straightaways. But he doesn't seem to be gaining much on the straightaways themselves. And Chandler Smith's got a diamond cutting the corner through 1 and 2 as well. He was really only doing that through 3 and 4, and not in 1 and 2 in the first green flag run, the final stage. But in this run, he seems to be doing it on both ends of the track. And again, so far, it is working well. Almirola just 2 seconds off the lead in third, 25 laps to go at the line. It's a 3-horse race for the win here at Kansas. So he's not really in contention to try to get up here and challenge under green flag conditions. And if we were to see a caution, everybody does have a set of tires left except for Almirola and Heim, if Heim's on the lead lap, which I don't think he is. No, he is. Tail end of it. Maybe not going to be on the lead lap for much longer. Although he might have stayed out. He got the wave around on those older tires, so he might still have an extra set left. But Eric Almirola, we know for a fact, he's on his final set of Goodyears. Caution comes out, you can pretty much eliminate him from the win. Everybody else, new game. Custer doesn't want to see yellow, though, because the 81's right there. 81 having the short run speed. A caution wouldn't be the worst thing in the world, despite leading with just 23 laps to go for him. Custer gained the most ground through 3 and 4 that last lap. So close to that of the 81 of Smith in front of him that he chose to run the middle to bottom groove through turns 1 and 2 rather than the top near the wall. Afraid he was too close that the dirty air would maybe shove the car up against the fence. Again, big mid-corner speed gain for Custer. One hiccup from Chandler Smith and Cole Custer's right there. Custer getting the draft off the lap car down to the apron. Custer chases him to the apron. As these two continue to run nose to tail, Custer takes his time trying to finesse his way around Chandler Smith. Eric Almirola is now less than a second and a half off the race lead. Gap back to third, only 1.4 at the line. Big lift in the middle of the corner again for Chandler Smith. Cole Custer right there. That gap closes on corner exit. 21 laps to go. Chandler Smith out ahead. There's one lap car between the second and third place cars still. And another lapper about to go a lap down just in front of the leaders within the next lap or two as well. Custer through the middle groove of 1 and 2 again. As he continues to try to close his gap to the race leader, Chandler Smith. A peek to the outside, but not able to quite get to that right rear corner panel off the exit of turn 4 that time. Again, just 20 laps to go. Laps tend to go by pretty quickly under green when you're this close to them. Going by even quicker here for Cole Custer. Every lap that goes by, it's less of a chance to get to the lead. And if he doesn't have that pull-away speed once he gets by Chandler Smith, if he gets by him, Eric Almirola will be there. '20 and the 81 teammates. I wonder if the 00 gets by the 81, if the 81 will just let the 20 go. For the driver standings, it'd actually probably be better if he did, just because he's racing Custer for the championship. He's not racing Almirola. For the driver standings, at least. The owner standings, yes, but not the driver standings. Custer has his nose to the right rear corner panel. The 81. The 81's going to shut it. Custer doesn't lift. Crosses over to the inside. 18 to go. Door to door for the lead into turn 1. Contact. Custer runs up into the side of the 81. Down into the first turn. Aggressive on both drivers' behalf. And that over-aggressiveness might have costed Custer a lot of straightaway speed down the front. They did make contact. Chandler Smith holds on to the lead. Lap car in front of the leaders on the top. Both first and second have to run off the wall. Chandler Smith to the bottom. Custer through the middle. And Jeremy Clement's going to be in the way of Custer on corner exit there. Couldn't clear high all the way against the wall. Almirola closed the gap majorly that last lap with the contact. He's only 0.7 of a second off the lead in third. Close call for those top two. Almirola having to get by the lap car this lap, going to cost him a little bit more time. He tries to get back in it. Chandler Smith or Cole Custer win. They will advance to the round of 8 of the driver playoffs. Almirola for the owner standings can get the 20 car into the round of 8 on that side of things if he wins. Zilich in fourth, the highest running non-playoff driver, again still about 4.9 to 5 seconds off the lead. Could be setting up for another classic Kansas finish. This time on the NASCAR Xfinity Series side of things. Custer definitely better through 3 and 4 than Smith. Smith can kind of hold his own through 1 and 2. He gives up a lot, though, through 3 and 4. And we saw how aggressive they were in trying to pass each other with about 17, 18 laps ago. Imagine what this could look like on the final lap if we're in the same predicament. Shane Van Gisbergen, shout out to him, driving up into the top 10. Taking over 10th place. Good point state for him. If he could seal it off, he's got Josh Williams in 9th just in front of him as well. Every point worth the position here as he has passed Herbst and Mayer over the last several laps to get into the top 10. 2 playoff drivers nonetheless that he is beating here today. But the Roval in this round, SVG having a good run here at Kansas, and he's had good finishes on super speedways this year. He could really get out of this round of 12. As we run, he is 7 points above the cut line. Meanwhile, back to that battle at the very front of the field. We have 13 laps to go at the line. Eric Almirola still a little less than a second off the lead. And Custer actually seemingly lost a little bit of time to the 81 through 3 and 4 that last lap. I almost wonder if Custer may have grazed the wall. Pretty good through 1 and 2, trying to get that ground back. Chandler Smith starting more against the wall than he was before. Just trying to get more dirty air on the nose of the double zero than what he was working with before. This is going to be an impressive drive for Chandler Smith if he can hang on to the lead with Custer right there behind him since about 25 to go. I mean, we're working on 13, 14 consecutive laps that Cole Custer's been right there. Chandler Smith has not made a mistake to allow Custer to be able to pass him. He got alongside him one time. The contact Custer made cost him a chance to try to make the pass in 1 and 2 for the lead on that lap. Right around 17, 18 laps to go. Eric Almirola fastest on the track that last lap compared to the top 2. Custer again through 1 and 2. Has a good run on the back straightaway. In the draft behind Chandler Smith. Gonna go near the wall again. He really backed up the corner entry to gain a lot in the center, and Custer is there. He backed up the corner entry through 3. Chandler Smith is there. Corner exit, side by side, 10 to go at the line. Both cars down to the apron. A drag race to turn 1. Custer this time on the top. Chandler Smith on the bottom. Chandler wiggles. Corner entry. Custer to the lead. And Eric Almirola is close down the back straightaway. The 81 moves up. The 20 to the bottom. The 20 going to try the slingshot for second into 3 and 4. As he slides up clear, the 81 will try to cut underneath. Can't get the drive off. A very quick and efficient pass for Eric Almirola to get the second. So it's the 00 leading and the 20 in second place. And we'll have a new battle for the race win with 9 to go. Now that the 20 has track position and the 00 is now in the lead. Almirola may have grazed the wall a bit off turn 2 as he got tight. Lost ground. And quite a bit of which on the back straightaway. Is a very light graze. All tires should be up on the 20 car. And he's going to have to try to gain this ground back yet again. 8 laps to go for Cole Custer to try to win his way into the round of 8 of the playoffs. Definitely a tight one. Custer a little closer to the wall through 1 and 2 than that of Almirola, but they were both tight to it nonetheless. Cole Custer with a bit of a wiggle off turn 4. That last lap, Almirola just a little bit quicker than the race leader. It's a little bit going to be enough. I'm on the edge of my seat. Hopefully you guys are too, watching at home. Thrilling race to the finish here in this NASCAR Xfinity Series playoff opener at Kansas. Slow car Corey Heim down on the apron of the racetrack. We'll see if he gets to pit road. 6 to go at the line. It's going to be close. Almirola gained a little bit more than he did the lap before that. Heim's still creeping around off turn 4 to pit road. And it looks like he is going to get there, and we are going to stay green here at Kansas. Keep it green. Almirola kind of diamond cutting the corner off, similar to what Chandler Smith was doing. And that has allowed Almirola these last 3 laps to gain a pretty significant chunk at Custer's lead, which was about 6 to 7 tenths of a second a few laps ago. Almirola drives to the middle on corner entry, Custer around the top. A diamond cut in the center of the corner from the middle to have clean air in the nose all the way through 1 and 2, and another great corner by Almirola. Didn't lose any ground that time to that of Custer. Where will he go in 3 and 4? Both cars up near the wall. Custer has to move off the wall, though. Lap car of Brendan Poole's up there. Custer had to go to the middle. Lane change in the center of the corner for Almirola to the bottom. Big run for the 20. 4 laps to go. 2 lap cars in front of the leaders. They're going to go to the bottom of the racetrack. Poole and Allmendinger. Custer up near the wall all the way through the corner. Chandler, or rather the 20 of Eric Almirola in the middle. Chandler Smith, meanwhile, has fallen well off the lead. He's 3.5 seconds back, so it's just between Custer and Almirola for the win at this point. Custer chopping down, maybe got a little air loose right in front of the 20 car. Almirola leads this lap at the line and is clear into turn 1 with 3 laps to go. Custer going to try the crossover. The 20 wiggled on corner entry, maybe overdrove the entry just enough. Custer on the inside. As he slides up the racetrack, he's going to try to stay in the left rear corner panel of Almirola, and he can't do it. Almirola holds clear again. Now Custer to the top. Almirola to the middle, bottom groove of the racetrack. Custer's digging through the middle of the corner. Can't get back alongside the 20. What kind of straightaway speed will he have? 2 to go. Gap about 2 car lengths into turn 1 on the second to last lap of the race. Custer's been driving it up near the wall the whole time. Almirola trying the Chandler Smith line of kind of starting wider, diamond cutting to a lane off the bottom and then back to the top on corner exit. And he's managing a pretty healthy gap. Custer now going to try to go to the middle groove, just trying to do something different. Custer is desperate at this point. 1 lap to go for Eric Almirola. Custer's losing ground once the 20 got to the lead. It continues to lose ground through turns 1 and 2. It'll be the 2nd win in a part-time season for the 20 of Eric Almirola. It'll be the 7th win the 20 car has had this season in the NASCAR Xfinity Series by 4 different drivers. And Almirola will be the 3rd of which to win a 2nd. This will advance the 20 team Kansas in the NASCAR Xfinity Series. What a race. Great race here today. And a great battle. The 81, the 00, then the 20 in the 00 after that. And Eric Almirola gets the last lap after winning stage 1, losing track position with a slow pit stop. It took almost to the end of the race to get it back, but he did finally get it back. Margin of victory, 0.6 of a second. We did finish under a regulation length of 200 laps, 300 miles. 119.28 mile per hour average race speed, or total time today, 2 hours, 28 minutes, and 41 seconds on this one. And only 16 cars finished on the lead lap. 5 different drivers led at least 1 lap in the race today. Chandler Smith leads 114 laps, most in the race. He led 5 different times. Race winner and stage 1 winner, Eric Almirola, led just 16 laps, but led the most important, which was the final few. En route to the over the next several minutes. If anything gets heated on pit road there. I don't think you'd want to fight Austin Hill, though. He has been prone to throw some sucker punches there in the past that are pretty meaty. Custer led 48 laps today. Chandler Smith, as I mentioned, 114. Sam Mayer won stage 2, led 18 laps. Brandon Jones from the pole led for 4 laps. Those are the 5 different drivers to lead at least 1 lap in this race. And it looks like we had 14 lead changes in this race in total, with, again, those 5 different leaders. Hill out of the race car. He's out of the car first before Herbst, which is an interesting strat. 6 cautions total in the race, only 1 in the final stage for debris. All the yellows were by way of incidents. Both of them towards the stage end led into the stage break. We'll go through the full field finishing order after we get some interviews here, but first, obviously, the interview with the race winner, Eric Almirola.
Almirola gets the win. He only led 16 laps in this race. You saw what he did at the end to get Bot's 0-0 Cole Custer. Fans here know the battle that Eric Almirola has gone through in his racing career. It was 2017 at this very racetrack where he broke his back in an accident. And now back to victory lane. Jim, let's hear from this winning driver.
Yeah, big win here at Kansas Speedway for Eric Almirola. Fan favorite with the burnout he just did on the start-finish line. Wow. What a run for you and this team today, Eric. That last green flag stretch, it's like you knew you had the car to beat. You were so methodical, overtaking Cole Custer and waiting. How patient did you have to be over that last run?
Really patient. I obviously wasn't patient earlier in the race. I'm wore out. that was a long day or a hard day at the office, especially for a guy who's been sitting on the couch. Yeah, I just overdrove. I knew we had such a great He Gets Us Toyota GR Supra. I was able to get by everybody on the long run, and I just pushed too hard there when we had the issue on pit road, and I got in the fence and cut the right rear tire down. So I knew I had to put my head down and go to work after that. We got lucky to get the caution when we did, and then we were out of tires. So the fact that it went green there to the end, and that's where we were strong. We were really strong on the long run. Yeah, it just worked out. I want to thank God first and foremost. This is such an awesome opportunity to do this with Coach. Thank you so much again. I know I say it over and over. I sound like a broken record, but this is so much fun to come and race these cars for Joe Gibbs Racing. Everybody at Toyota, the GR Supers are fast as the Xfinity internet. And just really hats off to Seth and Ziggy, Chance, Greg, Joey, Giggles back at the shop, everybody, all the guys, all the pit crew guys. They have been fast with this group, and just victory lane has eluded them. So I've told them all week. I'm like, man, I'd love nothing more than to share a beer with you guys in victory lane and go get our picture made. So, and I got a really good friend of mine, George, who's been with me through thick and thin with Smithfield, and he lives here in Kansas City. And I told him, I was like, man, I hope you come to the race. I've got a good feeling about it. So, gonna celebrate with him and Janice in victory lane. Hi to the kids. They're back home with my mom. Love you guys. And we're going to celebrate this one.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Big win for Eric Almirola and this team. We'll see him back in this car for the remainder of the 6 races this season.
Great having Eric Almirola winner this afternoon here on the Kansas Speedway on Mid Road. We can say here.
So again, there were issues on track, and we see Cole Custer going up to Chandler Smith. So conversations going on between those two drivers. Custer not happy about it. Austin Hill, we knew that he felt bad about what he did. Obviously to Riley Herbst. Riley Herbst, he and Austin are going to have a little chat. There you see Sammy Smith and Allmendinger. So a lot of conversations taking place.
Feels like the cutscenes after NASCAR Chase for the Cup 2005 career mode race. A lot of drivers mad at each other, talking it out. Frustrations. No fights here today, Kansas at least, but definitely some tempers being boiled over as the playoffs begin here at Kansas. Eric Almirola again with the race win, 6/10 of a second margin of victory over Cole Custer in second. Chandler Smith ends up in third. Connor Zilic fourth, and Sheldon Creed rounds out the top five in fifth. Brandon Jones in sixth. Austin Hill seventh. Shane Van Gisbergen finishing eighth. Great run today. Jesse Love ninth, and Riley Herbst finishes 10th. Josh Williams 11th. Parker Kligerman 12th. Sam Mayer 13th. Matt DiBenedetto 14th. Anthony Alfredo 15th. And Ryan Sieg last car in the lead lap finishing 16th. AJ Allmendinger first car lap down in 17th. Brandon Poole 18th. Ryan Ellis 19th. JJ Ely 20th. Parker Retzlaff 21st. Sammy Smith 22nd. Jeb Burton 23rd. Kyle Sieg 24th. And Leland Honeyman 25th. 26th for Kyle Weatherman. 27th for Jeremy Clements. Blaine Perkins 28th. 29th Ryan Vargas. And Patrick Emmerling 30th. Corey Hyde 31st. Joey Gase 32nd. Logan Bearden 33rd. And Daniel Dye 34th was the last car of those that finished. Dawson Cram, DNFs finishing in 35th, had an engine issue late in the race. It appeared, or a mechanical issue of some sort, that he finished 26 laps down. Justin Allgaier crashed out in stage 2, finishing 36th. Brad Perez stalled out in stage 2, finishing 37th. And Taylor Gray blew an engine right at the end of stage 1, finishing last in 38th. Again, we had 5 different drivers lead, 14 lead changes, 6 cautions, 1 in stage 3, 2 for incident in stage number 1, 3 in stage 2. And again, your most laps led goes to Chandler Smith, who led for 114 laps, 5 different times. Eric Almirola led 16 laps, 2 different times, wins the race, wins stage 1. Stage 2 winner Sam Mayer led for 18 laps. Cole Custer led 4 times as well for 48 laps led. And Brandon Jones led for 4 laps in this race after starting on the pole, and he still got a 6th place finish, so good for him. That is going to wrap up today's NASCAR Xfinity Series race coverage. I will see you guys tomorrow afternoon at 2:30 p.m. Eastern for our start time for the NASCAR Cup Series race at Kansas, our pre-race live commentary coverage. That can be also seen on the USA Network. Thanks for everybody tuning in for both of these streams with our doubleheader Saturday for NASCAR. Hope to see you again tomorrow. Thanks for watching, everybody, and have a good rest of your Friday night.